Let us pray. Almighty God, where you have called us to govern this province, we ask your help to make decisions and laws that will be just and that will promote the interest of our people. Almagtige God, ons bid dat u gedurende ons vergaderings ons die nodige wysheid sal gee en ons motiewe suiwer sal hou en dat u ons sal help om al ons tekortkominge te oorkom en al ons besluite aan u op te dra. Sikelela ilezwe letu nabantu balu. Umusile ukulungu kuipondo letu. Nkosi sikelela I Afrika, Tsina abantwana bayo, kokela inkokeli zayo, yeniki uxolo I Afrika. All this we beg in your holy name. Amen. Please be seated. Before we proceed, I would like to remind members about some of the logistical arrangements. As has been practiced to date, honourable members will be participating in the sitting of the House, both from here in the chamber, with the presiding officer and table staff, and via Microsoft Teams. Our standing rules have accordingly been amended to accommodate such hybrid sittings of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament. The honourable members experiencing challenges in connecting to the sitting are requested to contact the WCPP ICT colleagues who will assist to resolve their connectivity challenges. The quorum requirements for sittings of the House are provided for in the Constitution and the standing rules. Unless there is an indication of unanimous concurrence, voting will be confined to members present in the House and on the hybrid system who are entitled to cast their votes as per the ATC issued on the 11th of August 2020. Members present in the chamber and via Microsoft Teams have all the privileges and immunities imparted by law. Members who are considered out of order by the presiding officer will have their microphones muted and called to order. The Sergeant at Arms will record the members' attendance. In instances where these directives do not cover a particular eventuality, the standing rules must apply. In instances where the rules cannot be applied, the ruling by the presiding officer is final. Members, all microphones have been muted. However, for those members participating in the sitting of the House via Microsoft Teams, you are requested to use the raise hand functionality of the system when you desire to raise a point of order, and I will recognize you. When a member in the chamber wishes to raise a point of order, such an honourable member may address the presiding officer as expected, but must mute their microphones when they have completed speaking. Honourable members are requested to please ensure that their microphones are unmuted when the presiding officer recognizes them, and when they are done speaking, to please mute their microphones. Honourable members participating in the sitting of the House via Microsoft Teams are requested not to sign into the Microsoft Teams on more than one device, unless the second device is utilized with earphones for language translation services, as all these actions result in the disruption of the sound during the sitting. The media have been granted access to the MS Teams meeting as guests of WCPP. However, I would like to remind the members of the press that they may not use the chat room or speak or activate their cameras while the sitting is in progress. For the sitting members, language translation services are available in the chamber as usual and on Microsoft Teams via the respective channels. Honourable members participating in the House must please access the language translation services via a second device, for example, your cell phone, and if you have earphones available, please use them for the language translation services. Honourable members, just a reminder that no interjections are permitted during these hybrid sessions. To this end, I draw the attention of honourable members to Rule 40 of our standing rules. Honourable members, I recognise the Chief Whip of the Opposition.
Thank you, Speaker. I move that the House notes with profound sadness the untimely passing away of Honorable Morensia Gillion, the ANC in the Western Cape delegate to the National Council of Provinces, NCOP. Notes that Comrade Morensia was a dedicated servant of the people and served the ANC in different capacities, including as mayor of Deerwood Kloof, ANC Western Cape Treasurer and the ANC Provincial Deputy Secretary, as well as a member of the current interim provincial leadership at the time of her passing. Notes that she will be remembered fondly for her love for the people, her commitment to fight for transformation, and her despise for injustices. Notes that she passed away while on duty serving the people of South Africa in the NCOP strategic session, and commiserates with the Gillion family, her friends and loved ones, her ANC comrades and colleagues in the NCOP and the provincial parliament, as well as the staff and parliament officials she worked with. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Chief Whip. I've been informed by the Chief Whip that all parties are in agreement that there would be no list of speakers and that parties will now be afforded an opportunity to make a declaration or motion of condolences for a maximum of 3 minutes. I now recognize the ANC.
Thank you very much, Speaker, honourable members, the Premier. It was indeed with great shock and sadness that we heard of the sudden passing of our dear and beloved comrade, friend and colleague, Marentia Gillion, on Tuesday, the 28th of February. And on behalf of the ANC caucus, I would like to pass our deep condolences to the family and all her friends, comrades and colleagues. She literally died, as the motion indicates, with her boots on while attending an NCOP workshop in Cape Town. I, like many others, could simply not believe that the news was actually true. There were no words to describe one's feelings. Only last year, members came to hear with shock and sadness about the sudden passing of Member Lorraine Botha, the former Chief Whip. And I'd like to express on behalf of the ANC our thanks to Wendy Philander, the Chief Whip, for her letter of condolences. Also, Lorraine Botha was an incredibly strong woman who left this earth too soon. On Tuesday night, I visited the family in Pelican Park and spent 2 hours with the ANC Chief Whip, Honourable Majudina, and other comrades and friends who had come to express their condolences and to comfort each other. It was in the early hours of Wednesday morning, the 1st of March, that I could put at least some thoughts down, and I wrote a poem which I dedicated to Comrade Marentia. It's called Marentia, and it goes like this. You said to me that your mom told you, that your mom taught you, my kind, kyk eers na jou dak, dan jou policies, dan koop jy kos. And you did. A box of Rothmans, a 2-liter Coke, and a fully charged phone. You organized food, you mobilized communities, you prepared for conferences, and you did what you thought was best for our movement and our people. Go well, my comrade sister. Hamagashle, farewell. Today we pay respect to one of our fallen comrades, a servant of the people, the province and her nation, a leader in the province and in the NCOP, a leader immensely proud of her rural roots. She was the executive mayor of the Overberg District Municipality. She served as a member of this legislature from 2014 to 2019, and she served on the Health and Social Development Portfolio Committees. Comrade Marentia was also a whip of the ANC during her service. Within the ANC, she occupied and was elected to the position of our Deputy Provincial Secretary from 2011 to 2015, and as the party's Provincial Treasurer from 2015 to 2019. She loved the ANC. Madiba was her hero. And she died believing that together, through all the joy and the pain, the despair and the hope, she still believed that our movement can become a better vehicle to transform our country. The time of her passing, she served as a member of the Western Cape Interim Committee of the ANC. Last year, Marentia lost her mother, the year before, and a number of family members. She had also lost her beloved Winston 2 years ago, and yet she soldiered on. She had unrivaled compassion for the people she served. She fought for the fishing communities and their rights to access the resource. She was a fiercely loyal person. She spoke her mind. On the day Honourable Gillion passed on, we heard actually the positive news that Minister Creasy had upheld the appeal of fishermen operating the chuckies in Strathspey and Arniston. This would have brought that warm, special smile to your face because you truly lived and worked for the people. Marentia had a base. She was rooted in her community and in the organization. So ANC Premier, we will write to you this afternoon and on behalf of the family apply for a provincial state funeral on behalf of the family. I pray, Comrade Marentia, that your beautiful soul will rest in eternal peace. Rustig, ons Titi, ons gaan nie rus nie. Ons sal aangaan om die werk vir 'n beter lewe, soos Madiba hom beywer het, daar te stel in ons land. Hamagashle, Marentia, vaarwel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Dugmore. I see the EFF, if you so wish.
Thank you, Speaker. The EFF would also like to share a few words of condolences to the family, friends, colleagues, and also the comrades of the late Honourable Marentia Gillian. She's remembered by many EFF members who she worked alongside in government structures as a fearless fighter when it came to fighting for the rights of the poor and the marginalized people in the Western Cape, and more so when it came to the people in Grabouw in the Overberg area. The Honourable Gillian was one who fought for what is fair and just. She fought for the oppressed, the poor, the marginalized, and that was all that mattered, no matter what political party you came from. If you love the poor and the black, you are amongst those special people who will be remembered for fighting for what is right. She's also remembered for a commitment to her late partner, Winston, during his time of illness, right up until his last breath, among many other good things that she will be remembered for. Once again, the EFF wishes the friends, family, and comrades of the Honourable Member strength in the hour of need. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Kasim. I just want to check if Honourable August is online. Honourable Christians from the ACDP. I now see the Freedom Front Plus, Honourable Murray.
Thank you. Speaker, on behalf of the Freedom Front Plus, I wish to convey our sincere condolences to the family of Honourable Member Marentia Gillian, who's passed away. I've not known her personally, but those who did held her in very high esteem and regard, and I have no reason to doubt what they really feel today. Death follows us since the time we are born, and between birth and death, we create our legacies and our memories. And by all accounts, she will be deeply mourned and missed by those who knew her. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Murray. Al-Jamal, Honourable Brinkhuis.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Yes, Honourable Speaker, on behalf of the Al-Jamal, we want to send our very sincere condolences to the family and the friends of Honourable Gillian. Myself personally also, like Honourable Marie mentioned, I didn't know her personally, but from just what I've heard, her immaculate work that she has rendered over the years in government, and especially over the last few years in the NCOP, we are very saddened with her sudden passing. And from what I've learned, that she passed on in the workplace with her boots on, and it just shows the character of the person, that she was a people's person. She was a person that fought for the freedom of all South Africans. And yes, we are very, very saddened with the passing away of Honourable Gillian, and our sincere condolences to her family and her friends. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Brinkhuis. I now see the DA. Honourable Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. On behalf of the Democratic Alliance in the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, I want to express my deepest condolences to the Gillian and the extended families, loved ones, and colleagues of the late Honourable Marentia Gillian. Today, we want to celebrate and remember Honourable Gillian's long history of service to the people of the Western Cape. During her tenure as Overberg District Executive Mayor, Member of the Provincial Parliament, and as a permanent Western Cape delegate to the National Council of Provinces. She was a servant of her people until her last breath, as she so tragically passed away in the line of duty on Tuesday. We will therefore remember her unrelenting spirit of service, her sacrifices, and her enduring passion for the issues that affect the most vulnerable within our communities. To the ANC and Honourable Gillian's colleagues in the NCOP, we share in your grief, as we too had to say our goodbyes to a dear colleague and friend last year in the line of duty. To the DA in the Western Cape, or rather, the DA in the Western Cape sends our deepest sympathies to the ANC and Honourable Gillian's loved ones, her friends, and her colleagues. Our thoughts are with you, and we pray for strength during these most trying of times. Honourable Gillian, may your soul rest in eternal peace. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chief Whip. Members, can I please ask that you now rise and as we observe a moment of silence. You may be seated. Thank you very much, honourable members. Honourable members, I now recognise the Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Speaker, I move that motion number 2, as printed in on the order paper in my name, be moved in the House. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honourable members, are there any objections to the motion? No objections. Agreed to. I recognise the Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. I move that motion number 3, as printed in the order papers, be moved in my name. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Chief Whip. Members, are there any objections to the motion being moved? No objections. Agreed to. I recognise the Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. I move that motion number 4, as printed on the order paper in my name, be moved. Thank you, Speaker.
Honourable members, are there any objections to the motion being moved? If not, motion agreed to. I now recognise the Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. As agreed to by all parties in the Programming Authority meeting this past Tuesday, the 28th of February 2023, I move that the subject of discussion receive precedence. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Chief Whip. I understand that there was agreement, but I need to put the question to the House. Are there any objections to the motion being moved? No objections. Agreed to. We will now deal with the subject for discussion in the name of the Honourable W.F. Philander, as printed on the order paper. I recognise the Honourable Philander.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. After more than 16 years of rolling blackouts and broken promises, South Africa is now at the brink of stage 8 blackouts and worse, a potential collapse of the grid. Our country is facing an existential crisis, one which is not only a threat to our economic survival, but one that is a threat to the very fabric of our society. If the status quo remains, it means further economic decline, higher levels of inflation and interest rates, and more job losses. However, there is a saying, hope is the one thing that can help us get through the darkest of times. Honourable Speaker, our people are frustrated, they are dejected, and they are desperate to see change and optimism during these times of strife and challenge. And hope is possible. South Africa's decline is by no means the fault of the millions of South Africans who dream that democracy will bring a better life. We, the people, do not ask much, but simply for a national government that does not protect the party interest above the interest of the people. This is not the country that our parents fought for. And Honourable Speaker, to the ANC in the opposition benches, be honest today. Are you happy with the trajectory that our country is taking? Are you indeed satisfied? Honourable Speaker, in the face of darkness, we see hope in the Western Cape's healthcare system. South Africa's healthcare system has already been through the ringer during the COVID-19 pandemic. Its challenges will persist the longer the abnormality of rolling blackouts remain a reality. Honourable Speaker, in the health sector, there are growing concerns about the challenges that higher stages of load shedding pose, such as surgical backlogs, skyrocketing operating costs due to increased diesel procurement, and damage to life-saving medical equipment during outages, among other serious challenges. Indeed, the most vulnerable in our society has also not been spared by the ANC and Eskom-sponsored rolling blackouts. But to the people of the Western Cape, today I tell you that there is hope, because hope is the one thing that can help us get through the darkest of times. I welcome the Provincial Health Department embarking on phase 1 of the full PHC clinic hybrid inverter turnkey project. But honourable members, again, there is hope in the midst of darkness. Through the Provincial Treasury's allocation of just over 1 billion rand to respond to the energy crisis, learners' education will be prioritised to buffer schools against rolling blackouts. Hope in the face of darkness is possible, and it requires political will and transparency. I therefore welcome the Premier's commitment that he, his government, and the Western Cape Energy Council is ready to avail themselves for accountability to the proposed ad hoc committee on the impact of load shedding in the Western Cape province in the light of the national state of disaster. This work is a testament to the urgency with which the DA-run Western Cape provincial government is approaching the energy crisis. Honourable Speaker, unlike what the ANC wants to say or think, this is not a boasting exercise. This is the reality. The stark contrast between a government that works and one that does not work. Honourable Speaker, the ANC and their alliance partners will never take control of the Western Cape, or else, like in the rest of the country, there will be nothing left. The ANC has left us worse off. And Honourable Speaker, I want to encourage the residents of the Western Cape. Think about the future of this country and what it could be if we unseat the ANC in 2024. Honourable Speaker, the Western Cape government is proactive, innovative, and offering solutions to the biggest crisis of the day. And I look forward to the inputs from all colleagues on both sides of the aisle. I thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Chief Whip. Order members. Order members. I now see the Honourable Mvimbi.
The ANC cautiously welcomes this debate today. Again, we acknowledge and appreciate the energy crisis faced by our country, but we certainly hope that the DA will not use this opportunity as a cheap point scoring exercise. When debating energy in our country today, it is important to remember where we come from. Less than 30 years ago, only 51% of South Africans had access to electricity. 51% only. Today, the World Bank says more than 85% of South Africans have access to electricity. More than 85%. Today, USAID says that 95% of people living in urban areas have access to electricity, while the figure is 92% for rural areas. This is ANC service delivery. Nobody else brought about this. However, the ANC will also be the first to recognize that the crisis we face today in energy supply is due to a number of reasons. Firstly, no matter how much we try, we cannot ignore the global energy crisis that is taking place at the moment.
Honourable Mvimbi, please take your seat. Honourable Mvimbi, please take your seat. I'm really sorry to do this. Honourable members, there's a member on the floor. Can we please allow Honourable Mvimbi to make his submission to the House? Interjections, as I indicated in the beginning, is not allowed as per Rule 40 in hybrid sessions. So can please allow Honorable Mvimbi to continue. I see Honorable Mvimbi.
However, the ANC will also be the first to recognize that the crisis we face today in energy supply is due to a number of reasons. Firstly, no matter how much we try, we cannot ignore the global energy crisis that is taking place at the moment. As we speak, Europe sits at the heart of the energy crisis. And contrary to popular belief, the International Energy Agency says that the crisis did not start with Russia-Ukraine war. Secondly, macroeconomic policies in our country in the last 3 decades and supported by this provincial government has seen the consistent cutting of expenditure on public goods, and hence not enough funding was pumped into Eskom in the late 2000s, despite our country benefiting from the commodity boom at the time. But even in hindsight, we could say that government should have spent more money on expansion. Public sentiment surrounding Eskom would not have been any better. When only 50% of South Africa's population in South Africa was on the grid in the 1980s, James Brent Stian, in his book titled Blackout, the Eskom Crisis, he wrote, and I quote, Eskom had not learned from the negative public response of the mid-1970s sentiments towards Eskom hit in all-time low. The continued price hike to fund massive expansion, all extravagant in the public eye, were the last straw. The electricity utility became one of the most unpopular organizations in the country, with media outlets accusing it of serious mismanagement. That was in the 1980s. So this problem is not a new problem. Honorable Speaker, will be forgiven to think that Stian was writing about Eskom today. But he was writing about Eskom in the 1980s. Eskom has always been a problem in this country. In fact, it is for this reason that it even got a name change into the late 90s. Finally, the ANC will be the first to acknowledge the corruption at Eskom and the exploitation of mining companies, especially those selling coal to Eskom, such as Glencore, has had a negative effect on our country. And funny enough, nobody ever talked anything in this house about Glencore. But corruption at Eskom did not start now under the democratic government. The Nationalist Party, too, it used it as a corruption feeding trough. And I know some of the National Party beneficiaries are sitting here with us today. In their book, Rogue Galleries, Matthew Blackman and Nick.
Order.
In their book, Rogue Galleries, Matthew Blackman and Nick Dole write how under the National Party, 2 of Eskom's biggest power stations were deliberately built next to coal mine owned by a small company called Federale Mainbow, which was run by members of the Brute Bond. Federale Mainbow was consistently handed government tenders by the National Party. However, if people have evidence of corruption, not innuendos, not rumors, but
Honorable
evidence of
Mvimbi,
corruption,
can I please ask that you conclude? Your time has
they
expired.
must not conduct TV interviews, but go to the nearest police station. Speaker, this is the context that we find ourselves in as a country when it comes to the energy crisis.
Thank you, Honorable
We
Mvimbi.
cannot
Please
ignore
take your
this
seat.
context. We
Honorable
must work
Mvimbi, please
together
take your
in
seat.
solving
Thank
this.
you. Order, members. Order, members. Honorable Mvimbi, can you please switch off your microphone? Thank you. Members, order. I now see Honorable Klaas.
Achtbare speaker en die leiers, ons is hier voor die mensen te dien.
Order, members.
Speaker, it is now publicly knowledge that the ruling party has failed the people of South Africa when it comes to the issue of load shedding. which continue to have negative impact on the economy and ordinary lives of the people of South Africa. It does not make sense for the South African national government to tell people of this country about the economic recovery plan while business continue to shut down and lose profit as a result of this energy crisis. Every time when business in this country loses profit, this results employees being retrenched, which add to the increased high employment rate that is country currently experiencing. Electricity appliances of the people in their homes continue to get damaged as a result of on and off issues of electricity that moves in this stage. Speaker, it is said to know load shedding in this country has been at least 25 years in the making. From 1998, the national ruling party ignore advices and calls to unbundling of Eskom into generation, transmission, and distribution, as was contained in the white paper Eskom into generation.
Order, members. Honourable.
It is reported that in 1990, only 35% of South Africa households had electricity as a result of injustice of apartheid. When the ruling party assumed power in 1994, it was supposed to invest in the generation of energy continually so that 100% of households in the country can have access to electricity. But as I have already mentioned above, the opposite is true.
Order, members.
Speaker, it is now clear that energy crisis in this country is going to be with us for the foreseen future. At least until the national ruling party is removed from power by citizens of this country who want to lead peaceful
Order,
and
members.
propitious life. Moreover, there is a need for more electricity generation capacity. Speaker, the responsibility to generate electricity must not pass to business and greedy municipality who will then sell into our people with exhausted rates. Because this is a long run will result in the total privatization of electricity and become inaccessible to other poor majority of our people, as was the case during apartheid. Speaker, electricity generation is the sole responsibility of national
Honourable
government.
Klaas, can I please
which-
ask that you conclude? Your time has expired, but I'm going to allow you to just conclude.
Yes, I can conclude. Speaker, the mandate is clear. This government must provide people of South Africa with reliable electricity effective immediately. And if it
Thank
fails,
you, Honourable
it
Klaas.
must
Please take your
relinquish
seat.
power
Thank you,
and
Honourable
give it-
Klaas. Thank you. Order, members. Order, members. Members. Honourable Klaas, members, please calm down. Order, members. All right, members, I now see Honourable Bosman. Members, please, there's a member on the floor.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. And I judge by the laughing reaction from the members of the opposition that that's how serious they take this energy crisis. Honourable Speaker, Honourable Mvimbis, the revisionist history reminded us today that crime is the cause and effect of the energy crisis that we suffer. As the chairperson of the Standing Committee on Community Safety in this province, I'm particularly glad that this House is considering this topic today. Because the matter before us is a
Order,
criminal
members.
one.
Members on my left-hand side and on my right-hand side. There's a member on the floor.
We now know from multiple sources, including insiders, whistleblowers, and some of the country's finest journalists, that this crisis that affects every citizen of this province so deeply has been caused by criminal syndicates which have penetrated the highest level of our national government, as high as ministerial office. Billions have been stolen every month. Our most critical infrastructure is disappearing before our eyes, and worst of all, nothing is being done to stop this. The energy crisis is both the cause and effect of an atmosphere of criminality in our country that trickles down right from the top. These relentless power cuts brought to us by the African National Congress are not only the result of rampant looting by national ministers, but they serve to promote even more crime out on the streets. The most recent crime statistics left me aghast. Murder up by 10%, robbery up by 21.2%, attempted sexual offences up by 45.6%. I hope the members opposite are shocked as I was, because these statistics show us that the people of South Africa have known for a long time that crime in our country is out of control, and it gets even worse when it's dark. The statistics show us that predictably the deployment of LEAP officers reduces crime, but the main mandate of policing still falls to SAPS, and SAPS is failing even in the dark. They are under-resourced, demoralized, and they suffer from a dearth of leadership from Minister Bheki Cele, who's hopefully on his way out. Load shedding has been the final blow to their diminished capability. Through their own submission, Captain Frederick van Wyk from SAPS in the Western Cape recently admitted, and I quote, "Communication systems are often dependent on a power supply, and the ones in use by us are not excluded from this. This means that when residents are victims of crimes, they cannot contact police stations during load shedding because the telephone systems are not operable during power cuts. To put it another way, if someone breaks into your house, Member Van Vogel, through you, Honourable Speaker, during load shedding, you cannot call the SAPS in Swellendam. On top of this, when members of the public physically go to police stations to report crime and seek assistance from the police, they are met with locked doors. Locked doors because some police stations have decided to close during load shedding, or they offer limited services. In some cases, they even call the City of Cape Town's law enforcement, police stations calling DA government law enforcement to support them. This is not an indictment, Honourable Speaker, on the many brave men and women who wear their SAPS uniforms on the streets every day, even in the dark. But it's an indictment on our national government and every minister that has handed them an impossible situation that keeps on worsening. What we are facing in South Africa is a collapse of the rule of law, one which has been facilitated by those at the highest levels of national government. Corrupt politicians and their cronies have been allowed to loot and steal for so long that they know no different. Yes, the ANC knows no different. And the consequences of their actions are decimating our ability to build our economies, to look after our people, and to fight crime. Is it any wonder that the people of South Africa are so incredibly angry? The truth is, they should be. The ANC criminals have stolen everything at Eskom, and now they are keeping the lights off to allow criminals to rob us further in the dark. Speaker, this crisis is one which we must solve, and I have no doubt that the ANC members opposite will spend much of this debate attempting to obfuscate, give us history lessons. They will accuse this government of failing to fix load shedding as if their party did not cause it. They will do everything they can to distract us, and we saw that from the history lesson Member Mbumbi was trying to give us through you, Member Speaker, because they want to downplay the current predicament. They will do this because they have no choice, because the truth is they have been sent here to defend a party who is solely responsible for the crisis we are in. As we proceed with this debate, Honourable Speaker, let us do our best to consider how we might best protect our citizens from this crisis. But let us also remain clear-headed and conscious of how we got here. The criminality at the highest level of government, aided and abetted and encouraged by key figures of the ANC. Speaker, it is abundantly clear that this province and this country need an urgent solution to fix this problem. We cannot fix anything without power, and we cannot fix the energy crisis while the ANC remains in charge, because even in the dark, they still see it fit to steal.
Thank you, Honourable Gillian. Honourable Bosman. Honourable order members. Honourable Maran. Members, I now see Honourable Nkondlo. Can I please ask Honourable Nkondlo, before you start, members, can I please ask that you allow the speaker on the floor to make his or her presentation? Honourable Nkondlo.
Greetings to everybody in the House, and indeed a sad day for this Western Cape Provincial Parliament, that we had to start this House with another loss within a very short space of time of one of our members, someone like ourselves who have been given a responsibility to remain a representative and a voice of the community. We continue to send our condolences to these women that have left us. Speaker, as we sit here today on this very important debate that seeks to look at the current crisis that we face ourselves as a country at this time, it is important to always wish. But in our wishes, as Member Mvimbi has said here, we know the problem and the cancer of political parties, especially during this time when everybody is about to protect their seat. That at most we engage these debates highly at times disingenuous, and therefore try to paralyze the public in terms of providing them the facts about the situation that they have to deal with of a country that everybody has got a responsibility to build. We say this, Speaker, that today we talk about an electricity and energy crisis in our country, where indeed our Premier sat on the President's Coordinating Council, which discussed the energy crisis and national government's response to it recently now at the end of January. The Premier attended the Cabinet Lekgotla, where again the energy crisis, the need for a just transition and an energy mix approach to addressing the crisis was discussed in detail. And this is an understanding that if you go and you listen across and you open your televisions and social media across the world, most countries are grappling with energy challenges in the world. What is now needed for each sphere of government to do what is to ensure that the energy crisis is defeated. At a provincial level, in 2019, we heard of the solar PV uptake, while in 2020, we heard that 23 of the municipalities in the Western Cape support the small-scale embedded energy. 4 years later, and even today, we have not heard about a single megawatt produced by this provincial government through these projects. In 2021, the Municipal Energy Resilience Plan was announced with great fanfare, and more than 2,000 days later, and after spending more than 100 million even today, we do not hear of a single megawatt produced by this program. Actually, MEC Wenger was here the other day telling us about what they've achieved. It's actually a study here, feasibility study here, and a plan there. Where are the megawatts? But the ANC and the people of the Western Cape will not hold their breath, Speaker. Among the details provided to the Premier at the Presidential Council, as well as the Cabinet Lekgotla, he would have heard, if he was listening, that national government's plan to tackle the crisis, from the Energy Action Plan to the specific programs that the Department of Minerals and Energy has for provinces. The Electrification Master Plan will help ensure optimization of available technology solutions, as well as improve value for money. The plan also seeks to achieve universal access for all communities through the rollout of grid and non-grid electrification technologies. To date, over 8 million additional indigenous households have been electrified through connection to the grid, and a further nearly 2,000 through non-grid technologies. This speaks directly to the point made by Honorable Mvimbi earlier on about the numbers that we have to deal with as our population is increasing. And I'm sure this parliament has been lamenting about this reality that is affecting this particular country and this province. Whilst we assist with energy crisis, it is very difficult to forget the many people in our country who, with or without load shedding, still do not have access to electricity. The DA care less about the poor and ensuring more people are added to the grid, actually to expand and maintenance of the current network and the challenges of this as part of building an inclusive society. All they really care about are those who were connected to the grid before 1994. The Department of Minerals and Energy is addressing the suspensive conditions from NERSA to ensure that the procurement of the 2,500 megawatts of nuclear energy is completed by 2024 in line with the MTSF commitments. Eskom can guarantee 26,000 megawatts on a reliable basis from its 81 units. 6,000 megawatts is what is at risk, and while much effort must be put into maintenance and restoring of additional units, 4,000 to 6,000 of megawatt new capacity must be created. The only way to end load shedding as soon as possible is to restore the additional units at Eskom to produce this 4,000 to 6,000 capacity. While in the long term, the new capacity outside of Eskom, especially those of independent power producers, not only the one that the City of Cape Town's populist idea of buying electricity from private producers will be beneficial. This will take time to connect to the grid, and people, as the colleagues from the other side are raising, want electricity now. So to end load shedding in the now, through the ANC-led government, it is prioritizing and fixing ESCOM with speed. But Speaker, the end to load shedding is not a simple exercise. In managing the energy crisis, the Interministerial Committee has established 9 work streams. They are important. These are important because, amongst others, they address issues of performance of plants, policy issues, expediting connection, emergency procurement, improving demand management, law enforcement, communication and distribution. But also let us report on what national government has already done to address this crisis. It has allowed for private investment by removing the license requirements for generation projects. Bid window 5 has seen 19 projects signing agreements totaling to an additional 1,800 megawatts. The embedded generation projects, such as strategic infrastructure projects, have been gazetted, thereby reducing the time frame for environmental authorization to 57 days. Additional 300 megawatts has been procured from the Southern African Power Pool. NERSA concurrence has been received for the ministerial determination of over 14,000 megawatts of new energy, of new generation capacity from wind, solar, and battery storage. Private sector generation projects have increased to over 100 projects, contributing more than 9,000 megawatts of new capacity, and which will be connected to the grid this year. There are turnaround plans for 6 power stations to restore additional capacity. Actually, here in the Western Cape, already there is a battery energy storage system of 11 billion that includes West Coast and Cape Winelands. So, Speaker, the ANC is doing its work, and it has had its shoulders on the task to ensure that it deals with the energy crisis.
Thank you, Honourable Nkondlo. All right, thank you. Order members. Honourable Murray, I see you.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, we have already experienced 60 total days of load shedding this year. This exceeds the number of days of load shedding we experienced for the entire 4-year period of 2016 to 2019. And I feel it important to remind members of the opposition, through you, Speaker, that load shedding started in 2007, which is 13 years after the ANC was elected. The reality is that residents are the ones that foot the bill for government failure, particularly in our most vulnerable communities. We know this because the direct price of electricity is passed to consumers through exorbitant tariff hikes. The irony is that the President expects us to commend him for calling off nurses' nearly 20% tariff hike while he can't even keep the lights on. At the same time, under the ANC-led national government, residents are also struggling to put food on the table, and there is a growing sense of hopelessness, particularly among our young, unemployed people. This is heartbreaking. Despite this, the DA-led Western Cape remains a pillar of hope. According to the latest quarterly labour force survey, of the 169,000 jobs that were created nationally last quarter, 167,000 were created right here in the Western Cape. That means 98.8% of new jobs in the country were created here in the Western Cape. Speaker.
Order members.
Just imagine.
Order members. Honourable Murray, please take your seat. Honourable Chief Whip, is that a point of order?
Yes, Speaker. I rise in terms of Rule 39, Speaker. It is we cannot hear the Speaker on the floor. I can understand that the ANC is completely embarrassed to hear what they hear today, but we would like to follow the debate, and okay. I'm sure the people of the Western Cape as well. Thank you, Speaker.
Right, thank you very much. I hear your point of order, Honourable Chief Whip. In terms of the decorum, members, there was a member on the floor. The Chief Whip rose on a point of order. The point of order, Honourable Chief Whip, I will manage the House, and when it becomes uncontrollable, I will enforce the relevant rules. Members, I am allowing, because it's a political debate, I'm allowing for the debate not to be one-sided. But can I please ask you to please respect the person on the floor so that we allow that member to get their message across. All right, Honorable Maran, if you want to address the chair, Honorable Maran, when you want to address the chair, can you please get up and then do so? But this, colleagues, we started off in such a dignified manner. Can I please ask that we don't degenerate the House today? I mean, we are all adults here. We are all representing different views and have different views. Can I please ask that you respect one another so that you can get your message across, so that the decorum of the House is maintained? Honorable Murray, please continue. Honorable Maran, is that a point of order?
Yes, Speaker. The Honorable Murray is misleading this House when she speaks to the decent jobs that the DA is creating.
Honorable
Honorable
Maran, that's not a point of order. Please take your seat. Honorable Maran. Honorable Murray, I see you.
Speaker, just imagine what could be achieved under a country governed by the Democratic Alliance, the DA-led national government. It has a very nice ring to it. It is abundantly clear to me that the DA will not only create jobs in national government, but it will also keep the lights on. I say this because the Western Cape government is going above and beyond its mandate and acting with urgency. During the Premier's State of the Province address, it was explained that 1 billion rand has been allocated to address load shedding in the province. This will secure diesel fuel, buffer schools from load shedding, alleviate the impact on poorer households.
Please take your seat. Honorable Maran, every single speaker that has been on the floor, you have directly engaged with. Can I please ask that you respect the decorum of the House and respect the member on the floor in order for that member to have an opportunity to make the presentation to the House? Honorable Murray, I will make sure that you are afforded the opportunity like every other member in this House. Please continue.
Thank you, Speaker. This will secure diesel fuel, better protect our schools from load shedding, alleviate the impact on poor households, assist SMMEs, and implement energy alternatives. To that end, 89 million rand in emergency funding for municipalities has been allocated to procure emergency diesel generators for water treatment, water distribution, and wastewater systems during prolonged load shedding. Speaker, the DA will keep the lights on. I'm confident of this as the DA-led City of Cape Town is also implementing a 3-phase procurement plan to address load shedding. This includes the procurement of new generation capacity from independent power producers, or IPPs. And I am pleased to note that 200 megawatts procurement of renewable energy was concluded last year. The Mayor of Cape Town has further confirmed that the city is working with the Centre for Scientific and Industrial Research on grid integration studies to determine when and where these IPPs will feed power into Cape Town's grid. It will keep the lights on for residents by ensuring that every cent spent leads to the establishment of efficient systems, adding more power to our grid. The second phase of the 3-phased procurement for load shedding protection is called the Power Heroes program. It's quite innovative, and I think we should all pay attention. The initiative will pay residents for voluntary energy savings through the automated and remote switching off of power during peak times. And finally, Speaker, the city's 3rd phase of the procurement plan is the launch of the dispatchable energy tender. This is expected to yield around 500 megawatts for the grid. Clearly, the DA will keep the lights on, and a DA-led national government would do so by employing experienced engineers and managers to run the various entities of Eskom and stopping any political interference in the energy sector. It would unbundle Eskom into separate transmission, distribution, generation entities, allowing the transmission to be operated by an independent grid operator while privatizing as many entities as possible. We've already written a private member's bill to enable the unbundling.
We'll also be ramping up security at all key Eskom sites and dealing decisively and harshly with saboteurs. I said it before and I'll say it again. The DA will keep the lights on. But Speaker, the President's silence over the appointment of a new electricity minister and the reshuffling of the National Cabinet is deafening. It's deafening, Speaker, because we are facing almost stage 6 every day with the looming risk of stage 8 awake at any minute.
Order, members. Honourable Murray, you may continue.
We face the risk of stage 8 at any moment with no clear solutions from National in sight. We also do not know who the next CEO of Eskom will be. With Doretta gone, who was the last, or at the very least, committed to clean governance, we must make sure that we do not revert to the days where corruption goes unnoticed and unaddressed. It is also quite telling that Ministers Gwede Mtasha and Fikile Mbalula have publicly attacked Doretta in the media for his comments about corruption at Eskom, drawing his integrity into question for simply being honest.
Members,
What's
order.
more, Pravin Gordhan, Minister, has come out publicly and admitted Mr. Doretta spoke to him. He admitted that Doretta spoke to him about the corruption that was being experienced, and he did nothing, unsurprisingly, nothing.
Members, Honourable Murray, please take your seat. No, Honourable Kama, please take your seat. Honourable members, can you please, I've said this in the beginning. You cannot drown out the speaker. Honourable members, please, Honourable Maran, I'm addressing the House. Can I please ask that you allow Honourable Murray to continue? This interjections and running commentary continuously is out of order. If you don't like what the member is saying, then use other mechanisms to rebut that. But this continuous running order will not be entertained any longer. Honourable Murray, you can continue.
This confirms what everyone in the country already knows, that the ANC is a criminal organisation and the failure of Eskom is directly linked to ANC
please
members.
take your seat. Honourable Mvimbi, is that a point of order?
Just want to ask, is Honorable Murray willing to take a question?
Honourable Murray, are you prepared to take a question?
No.
Honourable Murray is not prepared to take a question. Members, please. Members on both the right and my left, please, can you allow Honourable Murray to continue? Honourable Murray.
This confirms what everybody in the country already knows. The ANC is a criminal organisation and the failure of Eskom is directly linked to ANC members at the very highest level who are using Eskom as a piggy bank. Speaker, South Africa's future is looking increasingly bleak, but we cannot sit by idly as the lights go out altogether.
Honourable Murray, please conclude. Your time has expired. Members, please allow Honourable Murray, Honourable Maran and Honourable Maran. Colleagues, can I please ask Honourable Chief Whip and Deputy Chief Whip to please assist me because keep your members. Honourable members on my left. I'm on the floor and you're continuing. Honourable Maran, I'm now cautioning you. Honourable Maran, I'm now cautioning you. Honourable Deputy Chief Whip, is that a point of order?
Honourable Speaker, in terms of Rule 60, I heard Member Maran going on about she called us corrupt, but I'd never heard Member Murray actually mentioning a person's name of this House, a member in this House. And in terms of the rules, we cannot allow people to just say across the benches.
Honourable Deputy Chief Whip. Honourable Maran.
Speaker, the ANC is nothing without its members. The ANC is nothing without.
Honourable Maran, is that a point of order?
Yes.
What is your point of order?
The ANC are corrupt, meaning that we as members of the ANC criminals, meaning that we are criminals.
Honourable Maran, that is not a point of order. Members, Honourable Nkondlo. Honourable Maran, Honourable Nkondlo. Honourable Maran, that is not a point of order. And secondly, when you address a member of the House, they are honourable members, it's not a he and she. So can I please ask that we respect one another and that we continue with the debate? Honourable Murray, can you please conclude? That is not a point of order, and that is not against the rules. Honourable Barnes. Honourable Tama.
No, thank you very much, Speaker. I think I want to raise this point with you so you can interact with it, because I think I heard the member saying the ANC is an organization of criminals. And now I more often when you want to invite, when you
Honourable Mvimbi, there's one of your members on the floor.
and when you, Speaker,
Honourable Mvimbi.
and when you, Speaker, at different times want to recognize us, you say the ANC. You know, so I would perhaps if you can ask the member if when she was saying the ANC is an organization of criminals, is she referring to any member that is in this house? Because reality, whether one likes it or not, there are ANC members in this house. And we can't keep quiet when someone is saying the ANC is an organization of criminals when we are not criminals ourselves.
Honourable Dagmo, is that a point of order?
Thank you, Speaker. I would also like, on a point of order in terms of our rules, to ask you to make a ruling whether the word criminals in the context of referring to political parties is parliamentary or not. And for now, I believe, I personally believe that it's not parliamentary. So I would like to ask if the member is prepared to withdraw that comment while you make a ruling at a later point. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Dagmore. I did not hear Honourable Murray referring to any member of this House, and therefore, Honourable members, I'm on the floor. Honourable Deputy Chief, please take your seat. Honourable Murray, I did not hear that Honourable Murray referred to any member of this House, and therefore that is not a point of order. Can I please ask Honourable Deputy Chief Whip, is that a new point of order, because I'm not entertaining any further points of orders on this matter?
Thank you, Speaker. I'm rising on the fact that Member Dugmore has asked you to make a ruling on whether one can ask whether political parties are called criminals. And when you do make such a ruling, I want you to take into consideration the Jacob Zuma court case, where the court ruled that you're allowed to call someone a thief in terms of SMSs, but also the fact that a political party does not have a dignitas in terms of law, and therefore they cannot be offended legally. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Chief Whip. I've already ruled on that point. Honourable Murray, please continue. Honourable Murray, please take your seat. Honourable Chief Whip of the Opposition, is that a point of order? Is that a new point of order? Honourable Lekker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Perhaps, Mr. Speaker, we seem to not to understand the rules. I'm rising on a point of order because I have seen you have gone to a point where you allow the Deputy Chief Whip to tell you how to do your job. I am rising on a point of order so that you are mindful not to be told how to do your job, and you must be precise and explain just that, because we're wasting too much time. Instead of focusing on the statement by Member Murray, you are focusing on people who think they know how better than you. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Chief Whip. I have ruled, so I'm going to continue with Honourable Murray. Honourable Murray, please note that your time has expired. You were on the floor concluding.
Thank you, Speaker. In conclusion, I call on the residents of this province and this country to vote for the Democratic Alliance in the upcoming election and ensure that we oust the ANC from the union buildings once and for all.
Thank you, Honourable Murray. Please
Because
take
we'll
your
keep the
seat. Your
lights
time
on.
has expired. Honourable members, I now see Honourable Brinkhuis.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Speaker, am I audible?
You are audible. If the members in the House can just quiet down. Members, there's a member on the floor on the hybrid system. Please allow Honourable Brinkhuis to make his presentation.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we cannot ignore the fact that load shedding negatively affects us all, irrespective to which party one belongs. The Al Jamaa Party has previously lauded the Western Cape for its initiative towards energy independence, and that the province should take the lead to put an end to load shedding. Our province is indeed affected, and we cannot afford further job losses. If the energy crisis worsens, we should come to the rescue of everyone and thus put in place that can assist to overcome the almost immediately. One of the sectors hardest hit is the SMMEs, and if they are forced out of business, then they have a snowballing effect that we should try to avoid. We welcome the province plans to ensure access to water, education, and business connectivity during load shedding. The Honourable Premier has revealed in his SOPA that money will be sourced from Provincial Treasury for its massive plans towards energy independence. Al Jamaa would like the province to be transparent when it does its grant planning on how and where it spends the millions on backup generators. There should be a proper oversight on municipalities on how they distribute municipal services during load shedding. We are aware that there are huge gaps between our schools in terms of resources and financial capabilities to operate against the odds of load shedding. The more established businesses and citizens have purchased inverters to ensure the continuing operation of their businesses. Many small businesses have
Honourable
and are
Brinkhuis, can I
suffering.
please ask that you conclude? Your time has expired.
Many small businesses have and are suffering enormous losses. What assistance is there for them? We remind the province that transparency
Thank you,
is a
Honourable
critical
Brinkhuis.
issue
Thank
when
you, Honourable
rolling out energy structures and when private companies come on
Can you
board.
please
Thank
mute
you.
the member?
Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Brinkhuis. I now see the Minister, Minister Bredell.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, imagine the following situation. You oversleep in the morning and realize you are going to be late for work. You also know that you did not do your job for the last 30 years, and you did not prepare for the meeting or the presentation you are going to be late for. You know that today is the day you are going to be uncovered for the incompetent and unqualified persons you are. That is how the people in the ANC feels today. Honourable Speaker, corruptness and incompetence is not a disaster in itself, but it can most certainly cause a disaster. Speaker, and that is what is happening in South Africa at this moment.
Order, members.
We are experiencing the disaster of ANC government. After 3 decades, it seems that the wheels of the national ANC government is coming off. Honourable Speaker, we do not have electricity, and we also do not, or if the electricity is declared a disaster, then, Honourable Speaker, Education must be declared a disaster. Health must be declared a disaster. Policing disaster. The military disaster. The international disaster.
Order, members.
Honourable Speaker, the economic disaster. And we have a general state-owned entity disaster. But the real disaster, Honourable Speaker, is the ANC government disaster in South Africa. That's the real disaster. Honourable Speaker, in the Western Cape, we are also experiencing the consequences of the ANC disaster. Our municipalities are all struggling to provide basic services due to the extended load shedding the ANC has delivered for us. Once we go above level 4, municipalities struggle to purify enough water, and then they cannot refill water reservoirs to the correct levels. This then causes a drop of pressure in the water pipes, and water distribution becomes a problem. If water levels are then restored once power is restored, there is a huge risk to the pipe burst as the system is balancing itself. Speaker, it is not too difficult to understand the link between electricity and water. But then one can never assume that the ANC understands anything. The ANC still does not understand the link between economy and people paying tax for government, and government using the tax money to provide services to the people. This creates an environment for business sector to employ more people, resulting in more tax. All of this should translate into more tax money for government, who can then invest in better services and better public infrastructure such as roads, dams, and until recently, electricity supply. Speaker, the Western Cape government understands these things. This is why we made 88 million rand available for emergency generators to our municipalities, so that we can provide basic services to the poorest of the poor. The only province in South Africa that supports municipalities. Why? Because we care. The Western Cape Disaster Management Centre has also developed an emergency blackout plan for the province, still absent from the national government and 8 other provinces. Speaker, load shedding also disrupts sewage works or the function of sewage works in our towns and cities. The systems are designed to have continuous water flow, and if disrupted, we see blockages and eventually spills over into environment. Speaker, this is a health risk to our people, and it is bad for the environment. Achtbare Speaker, die president kondig 'n ANC electricity onbeholpenheid ramp aan op 9 Februarie. Dit neem die ANC 2 weke om die regulasies af te kondig. Dit is soos wanneer ons na 'n vuur staan en kyk vir 2 weke en ons doen niks, achtbare Speaker. Speaker, die rampregulasies wys vir my daar is 'n slang in die gras. Niks wat afgekondig is, kan deur bestaande wetgewing hanteer word nie. Die regulasies gaan vir Eskom toelaat deur minister Matashe om sy kragboot in te bring sonder omgewingsgoedkeuring. Die regulasies gaan toelaat dat Eskom sonder enige gevolge besoedeling in die lug kan inpomp. So achtbare Speaker, die ANC kondig 'n elektrisiteitsramp aan om sodoende die omgewingswetgewing te omseil. Speaker, die ANC het amper alle staatsinstansies in hierdie land afgebreek. Lyk my, hulle oog is nou om die omgewing af te breek. Speaker, fortunately, there is a solution to the ANC disaster. No new legislation, or ad hoc committees, or special advisors, or war rooms are needed. No new ministers have to be appointed. The solution is called an election. And there is one coming in 2024. And I call on all the people in the Western Cape, save yourselves and vote the ANC out of power. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Bredell. Honourable members, Honourable Minister Fernandez, is that a point of order?
Honourable Speaker, if I may, I did not wish to disrupt my colleague whilst he was speaking, but I am certain that I heard the Honourable Dagmo say to the Honourable Bredell, "You are corrupt." I would like you to check with Hansard and follow up on that as a
Thank
point
you,
of order.
Honourable
Thank you.
Fernandez. Please take your seat. Honourable Dagmo.
Thank you, Speaker.
Honourable Dagmo, before you go, did you, is that a point of order?
Yes, it's a point of order.
Okay, what's your point of order?
My point of order is to respond, Speaker, if you request me to.
Okay. All right, that's not a point of order. Honourable members,
Clarify.
yes, honourable members. So that's not a point of order. I'm going to give you an opportunity, Honourable Dagmore, to ask if you in fact did refer to the Honourable Bredell as corrupt.
I did refer to the Honourable Bredell as corrupt because in all his local government decisions, he's corrupt, and he corrupts the legislation and he corrupts the law, and that is why I said he is corrupt.
All right, Honourable Dagmore, that is against the rules. Can you please withdraw that statement?
Speaker, I would like you to investigate whether corruption means only the theft of public money, but the corruption of legislation and laws, which I'm arguing he's guilty. I don't see it as unparliamentary. I see that he is corrupting the legislation.
Okay. Honourable Dagmore, I'm asking you to withdraw that. If you haven't, I've now made a ruling. Honourable Dagmore, if you members, if you're not prepared to withdraw, then there's other avenues that you can follow, or if you're not happy with the ruling. But if you are referring to Honourable Bredell as corrupt, that is unparliamentary, and I ask you to withdraw.
Okay. Speaker, I am arguing that in his conduct, he is corrupting legislation. So I don't want to. I'm not saying that MEC Bredell, as far as I know, has stolen money, but I argue that he is corrupt because he corrupts the legislation.
Honourable Dagmore, Honourable Member, please take a seat. Honourable Deputy Chief Whip, please take your seat. Honourable Dagmore, there was a point of order that Honourable Fernandez, the Minister, rose on a point of order to say that she heard that you refer to Honourable Bredell as corrupt. I allowed you an opportunity to say if you in fact did say that Honourable Bredell is corrupt. You then got up and you said you did say so. That is unparliamentary. I'm asking you to please withdraw that. The fact that you are justifying what you meant is not part of the rules. That is unparliamentary to refer on the integrity of any member of this House as corrupt, and for that reason I ask you to withdraw.
I withdraw, and I give notice that I will bring a substantive motion to back up why I believe that in terms of implementation of legislation he acts corruptly.
All right, thank you. So you have withdrawn. I now want to move on, members. I see the Honourable Marais. Honourable Bakubak Force, is there a point of order?
Honourable, they must also withdraw. Honourable
Bakubak Force, can you speak? Honourable members, there's a member on the floor. Can I please ask that you speak to me?
Honourable Marais must withdraw also because she called the ANC corrupt.
Honourable members, there's a member on the floor.
Speaker.
Honourable members, on my right hand side, there's a member on the floor. Can I please?
Your mense raste veel. DA ras.
Honourable Bakubak Force, that is not a point of order. A political party is not, you can say a political party is corrupt, but you can't refer to a member or on the integrity of a member. All right. And now, members, can I please ask that you... All right. Can I... Okay. In order for us to continue, can I ask, Honourable Marais, did you refer... Honourable members. Honourable Marais, can I please ask if you refer to any member of this House?
Speaker, I'm trying to find the exact words, but no, I did not refer to a single person in this House. What I said, and I quote, this confirms what everyone in the country already knows, that the ANC is a
Honourable Marais, you don't need to justify it. I'm asking you, did you refer to any member of this House?
No, I refer to ANC members at the highest level.
Thank you very much.
Are you at the highest level?
All right, thank you very much, Honourable Marais. Honourable Marais did not refer to any member of this House, but I will revert to Hansard and come back to the House. Thank you, members. I now see the Honourable Marais.
Speaker, honourable members, We can without exception agree that the current energy crisis is not an act of God, but an act of greed. It has opened golden opportunities for further taxes being imposed on already overburdened taxpayers to finance Eskom. It has also created six-figure bank accounts for certain people. And our health services is in a crisis because of money diverted to save our electricity. And while the people are fed up, those with political context are not fed up, they're overfed. This country has been colonized by ruthless cartels. And in spite of our best efforts and intentions, the Western Cape will not escape an economic implosion if load shedding continues. In the township, sê die mense vir my, Mr. Maredi, Ramaphosa praat van sona, ons het sona kos, sona elektrik, sona werk, sona 'n toekoms, sona intelligente leiers. So they think sona now is without. They think sona mean without. Die Vryheidsfront Plus don't have all the answers, and I don't think any party here can stand up and say, I have all the answers. Collectively, we might find the answer. So don't slam the members in this house, no matter which side you're on. We're in a crisis. And when the ship is sinking, you don't attack the captain. Neither do you worry who steers the ship. You all start bailing out water. I ask of you, let's all bail out the water so that this country don't sink into an economic implosion.
Thank you,
And I don't
Honourable.
have all the
Thank you, Honourable
answers.
Marais. Can you please conclude?
Yes, sir. Ek wil dit in Afrikaans afsluit.
Okay, ek gaan vir jou geleentheid gee.
Die Vryheidsfront sê, kom ons staan saam en breek weg. You know, when a boat sinks, you jump into a boat, a smaller boat.
Thank
that
you,
can
Honourable
sink.
Marais. Please take your
The
seat. Your
Western
time.
Cape is that smaller boat.
Thank you, Honourable
Let's
Marais.
break
Please
away.
take your seat. Thank you, Honourable Marais. I now see the Honourable America.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, during the President's State of the Nation address, he announced a national state of disaster and the appointment of a Minister of Electricity to respond to the current energy crisis. It's been 21 days. No plan, no action, Dololu. This signals that the ANC national government is
Order, members.
directionless when it comes to implementing the
Order.
necessary action to turn this disaster around. For years,
Order,
the DA in
members.
the Western Cape has been consistent in calling on the ANC national government to empower capable municipalities and provincial governments to free up generation capacity by bringing independent power producers on board, dismantling Eskom's monopoly on power generations and easing regulation. These calls were met with silence as the country spiraled from one stage of rolling blackouts to the next. Speaker, constant power cuts have begun to have dramatic and drastic effects on our provincial infrastructure, costing the taxpayer more money to repair damaged public property, such as water and sewage pumps. More than this, a reliable supply of electricity is one of the most vital prerequisites to achieving our goals of job creation, service delivery, and ultimately economic growth. Honourable Speaker, as we have witnessed the impact of load shedding going beyond living in the dark, the ANC-sponsored power blackouts have caused untold damage to our rail operations in the Western Cape. Trains not running on time or being cancelled without notice. This is how the ANC government treats our people. Add to this, electrical cables have become more vulnerable to theft. In fact, load shedding has greatly enhanced cable theft. The damage to the economy is well documented, but we have seen firsthand the damage which can result to broken critical infrastructure. We have seen the significant impact on traffic flow as load shedding causes traffic lights to be out of service and leaves the streets dark as lamps die out, which increases the risk of road accidents and crime. Speaker, it is for this reason that DA-led governments across the Western Cape have, with urgency, begun to go above and beyond their mandate to address the energy crisis. The Western Cape government recently allocated nearly 89 million rand in funding to mitigate the most drastic effects of load shedding on our municipalities, while the City of Cape Town has announced its own innovative measures to generate power and eliminate up to 4 stages of load shedding. Honourable Speaker, if rolling blackouts are to continue in perpetuity, as Eskom is contemplating, these issues will progressively compound and multiply in unpredictable and unforeseeable ways. We cannot even begin to imagine the impact of sustained endless rolling blackouts on job creation and our most vital and on our most vital infrastructure. So what can we do about it? The answer actually is quite a lot. Despite how bad things may seem, there are several possible ways to get out of this crisis. Our power infrastructure can only be fixed by diversifying our generating capacity, allowing businesses and individuals to sell electricity onto the grid, giving tax rebates to those who generate their own power, and allowing the involvement of the private sector. In Cape Town, with the DA governs, these initiatives have already been rolled out to its fullest, with the result being that load shedding remains 2 to 3 stages lower in Cape Town than it does in the rest of South Africa. Honourable Speaker, load shedding and the ANC are inextricably linked, and we should see our energy crisis for what it is: rolling blackouts and the ANC's half-hearted attempts to downplay this crisis represents what can only be described as the final kick of a dying horse, the death throes of a failed organization. Fixing load shedding is within our grasp. We have the resources, the expertise, and the will, but we cannot expect those who created the problem to fix it. I have eternal hope that come 2024, we will see that South Africans recognize this
can you
too,
please conclude?
and in one clear voice, tell the ANC to get out of the way.
Thank you,
and
Honourable
vote for
America.
a
Your
party
time
that
has expired.
delivers the Democratic Alliance.
Thank you, Honourable
Amandla
America.
Awetu.
Thank you, Honourable America. I now see Honourable Dugmore.
Speaker, ek wil net vir agbare Maree sê, miskien is die Vryheidsfront sonder swart mense. Jy sê mense sonder
Honourable Dugmore, can I please ask that you speak through the chair?
Vryheidsfront lyk vir my is sonder swart mense. I think what we must agree on is that the African National Congress government must take responsibility
Order, members.
for the energy crisis.
No, I'm just allowing you to speak.
Okay,
sir.
just please watch the time. Must take responsibility for the energy crisis. And we will fix it. But I want to echo Honourable Maree's statement. As much as I don't agree with afstigting on a boat, he did say,
Honourable Dugmore, can you speak to me and not to the members?
That we need to do this together, and that does mean that we should have a serious debate about what a province can do, what a local government should do. It's just a pity that the DA saw this as simply some vote-buying exercise. And we need to say that we are concerned. Why is the Premier not here? He's not listening to this debate, whereas his government has announced, Speaker, 3 years ago an energy resilience plan, and not 1 megawatt of energy has been produced by that plan. The Premier is unable to say, like the Mayor is unable to say, what will the cost be of a megawatt of power, and why we as the ANC will resist the attempts to privatize Eskom. The reality is, at a balance of scale, Eskom will be able to produce, and is still able to produce, power at a cheaper rate. And that is why we must resist. We must bring on independent power producers. We must build on the partnership that we have, where pipeline of private sector generation projects has actually increased to over 100 projects, representing more than 9,000 megawatts. But Eskom must be the bedrock. And we need to say, let's not be shy to talk about the energy mix. It is coal, it is renewables, it is nuclear, it is hydroelectric, it is all of those things. And sometimes the liberal media begins to push a narrative that our problems are going to be resolved by renewables. That is not true. We have hundreds and hundreds of years of coal under our ground. We should not be forced by Western powers into their agenda in regard to not utilizing the resource, but you've got to find cleaner ways of generating that particular coal power, which is possible. Pravin Gordhan, our minister, said about Andre de Ruyter, and I quote, "He did not pay attention to Eskom's generation that he should have done. Instead, he swanned around looking at renewables." Now, I want to say that Andre de Ruyter's supporters might want to claim that he negotiated a $8 billion deal. But let us look at that deal. How much of that is actually a grant? How much of it is actually a loan? And what do we have to pay back? And who will actually benefit from that? It's time that as South Africans and the Western Cape, we assert that we want energy sovereignty. We don't want our energy supply. But yes, the ANC has to fix this. The ANC government, with our partners in business, with the provincial governments, and to look at ways of actually dealing with this. So that is particularly important. But in this province, Speaker, if you are poor and you go and try and buy 100 rands worth of electricity, 100 rand, you only get 10 or 15 rand if you are in arrears on your water account. And this Honourable Minister, Speaker, MEC, who's sitting here, he has done absolutely nothing to check that people do not get penalized. And now he wants to come and tell us that it's illegal, but he does nothing about it. The poor are suffering in this province from
Honourable
the fact
Dagmore,
that
please
they cannot...
conclude. Your time has expired. You can conclude.
I mean,
Honourable members, honourable
can
members.
I have my last sentence?
Yes, you can conclude.
Yeah. And as MEC of Human Settlement Simmers is about to speak, can he tell us how much electricity he stole in George? Can he actually remind us why were there charges brought against him for stealing
Dagmore, your time has
energy
expired.
in George? I thank you.
Honourable Dagmore. Honourable Dagmore. Honourable Dagmore, members. Honourable
Speaker, I do rise on Rule 59 that speaks to reflections upon members of this House.
Thank you, Honourable Chief Whip. Honourable Dagmore, can I please ask that you withdraw that statement?
Speaker, I actually asked a question. I said, given that MEC Simmers is going to speak, I'm asking whether he can tell us how much electricity he stole. He can explain to the House
No.
Because we have affidavits from officials from the George municipality
Honourable
about
Dagmore.
the Honourable Member.
Honourable Dagmore, you are reflecting on the integrity of a member of this House. Can I please ask that you withdraw that statement?
I withdraw and I ask MEC Simmers
Thank you
to
very
tell
much.
us about the electricity.
Thank you. Please take your seat. Honourable members, please calm down. Honourable members, we are nearing the end of this debate. I now see the Honourable Simmers. Honourable Simmers, Minister Simmers, please just take your seat. Honourable.
My apologies, Speaker, just for the record. We all saw the Premier here at the beginning when we started the House. The Premier tendered his an apology and he had to attend to an emergency family matter. The Premier is online, Speaker.
All right, thank you very much. Honourable members, that is not a point of order. Honourable Chief Whip of the Opposition, is that a point of order?
No, I'm happy you've ruled that it's not a point of order, Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honourable Minister Simmers.
Honourable Speaker, Honourable Premier, who I see is online, fellow Cabinet colleagues, all members of the legislature, and also our guests in the gallery. When a country is in crisis, which all speakers before me has agreed upon we are in, its people look for direction to those who hold the highest office in the land. However, in South Africa, that is simply not the case. Our sitting or sometimes sleeping president went and placed on record that the security and generation of electricity energy for the country is not his responsibility and shifted the blame to local government. But I have a new phrase to actually coin that, what the president said. It's called Ramaparanism. And before me, the main Ramaparanist of the ANC in the Western Cape spoke. And this will lead more and more fellow South Africans to make a choice, a clear choice to relocate to the Western Cape, where we have a government that works and a government that cares for its people.
Order, members.
Honourable Speaker, many of the opposition speakers before me has asked, since 2020, what has happened in terms of local government level? And I'm happy to say to this House, I'm going to make just 2 examples for them to take note of. When the rest of the country is experiencing level 2 and 3 load shedding, if you're a City of Cape Town resident, most of the time you're actually spared this phenomenon. And this is because the City of Cape Town understands how to generate, store and distribute electricity. This is basics which Eskom clearly is failing in dismally. But we also push for innovation in local government in the Western Cape. I'm going to mention 3 such projects in the City of Cape Town underway.
Minister.
And I must say, the feasibility studies are complete, the conceptual design are complete, and it can generate up to 1.4 megawatts of power. These are Gudu TMC, the Guguletu Electricity Depot, and the Kraaifontein Wastewater Treatment Works. And if the opposition can listen to the areas I've just mentioned, and the citizens of the Western Cape, these are not areas that are affluent at all as they try to pertain to the people. Another municipality outside of the City of Cape Town is George, which amongst its short-term priorities is the reduction of its own consumption through own generation and demand management. This reduction consumption will decrease approximately 6 to 7 megawatts of power, which equates to a 10% reduction. But they've gone one step beyond, Honourable Speaker. Because load shedding impacts also the safety of our people, and it's sad to see that last night at midnight, a veterinarian doctor in the City of Cape Town was murdered because of load shedding in the specific area he lives in. What they are doing, they have ensured that they have retrofitted traffic lights with LED lamps and UPSs, which will ensure that their system, at least at key intersections, can last for 4 hours to ensure the safety of the citizens of that town. But they've gone one step further, Honourable Speaker. As we stand here, a 1 megawatt power plant will be commissioned by the end of September 2023 at a budget of 25 million rand in George. But to top that, by November 2024, another 9 megawatt solar plant will be commissioned in the City of George. And this is not just talking about what will happen in the future. I'm stating facts of what is busy happening now to the opposition in this House. But Honourable Speaker, this is but 2 examples I can give you. But province also has a key role to play, and that role is played through the Western Cape Energy Council, which the Premier announced in October 2022 with a clear objective, and that was to reduce the impact of load shedding on businesses, citizens of the Western Cape, and in the medium, short, medium, and long term. But what are the 5 things that this Energy Council is focusing on to achieve our Premier's objective? Firstly, it's a load shedding relief program. That is what we're busy with now. Then there's a Provincial Integrated Resource Plan, or PIRP. That is the medium to long-term energy plan for the Western Cape. Then a demand-side management program, a new energy generation program, and a network development program. This is what this Energy Council in the Western Cape is busy with. But During his SOPA, our Premier committed a staggering R1 billion towards the energy crisis in our province, which speaks to the Energy Council achieving this objective. And through this R1 billion commitment, a part of it seeks to assist SMMEs to assess and implement alternative energy options. We are not just mitigating an ANC manufactured crisis, which the Honourable Mvimbi acknowledged partly in his speech, but we're also looking to empower and create economic opportunities for our entrepreneurs, which speaks to the growth for jobs strategy of this province. But through you, Honourable Speaker, to Honourable Nkondlo, a part of that fund will also see 100,000 indigent households being equipped with an emergency power pack that will help reduce the impact of blackouts for them as well. Tell me what the other 8 ANC government provinces are doing. I can tell you, so what? Nothing. Zero. They're on blackout stage already. The National Minister of Finance revealed that individuals who install rooftop solar panels will be eligible to receive a rebate of 25% of the cost of the panels, but up to a maximum of 15,000 rand. The Solar PV Association, SAPVIA, have indicated that the solar unit would in all likelihood cost 95,000 rand at the very least. But this rebate is only effective up to 60,000 rand. So this not only eliminates the poorest of the poor, but also shortchanges those who can afford to purchase solar panels. Therefore, it's of no use to anyone ultimately this rebate. So, Honourable Speaker, through you, while others act as though they are tone deaf and love to give historic lessons for the problems of this country, we still see people experiencing 4 hours of load shedding.
Minister Summers, please conclude.
This DA-led government shows that it cares by putting our money where our mouth is, and we will give power to our people now towards the
Thank
future.
you, Honourable Summers. Please, your time has expired. Thank you very much, Honourable Members. That concludes the debate on this subject. We will now deal with questions as printed on the question paper. I see the Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, the Honourable Minister Mainia has tendered an apology for this sitting, and the necessary arrangements has been made with the members posing the questions for you to stand over until the next sitting. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honourable Dugmore, is that a point of order?
Just a point of order in terms of House protocols. I just want to raise the point that, for instance, when I'm about to get up and leave the House, I normally acknowledge you. I just noticed that our new member of the EFF in the House, simply got up and walked out. Whereas my understanding is that when you walk that way, you're supposed to turn around and just acknowledge. So I know that it's a question of each one teach one, but I will just request his colleague to inform him of the protocol. It's also not safe, Speaker, it's not safe to walk with your back. It's always a good idea to turn around and be aware of your surroundings.
Thank you very much, Honourable Dugmore. Thank you, Honourable America. Honourable members, thank you very much, Honourable Chief Whip. So just for all members, question 1, question 3, question 4 and question 6 will therefore stand over. On the question paper for oral reply, we will start with question 2 on the oral paper. I now see the Minister of Agriculture, Minister Meyer.
Dankie, agbare Speaker. Die 2022 globale voedselsekuriteitsindeks het Suid-Afrika in die 70ste posisie geplaas uit 'n totaal van 113 lande wat geëvalueer was in terme van voedsel bekostigbaarheid, 52ste posisie vir voedsel beskikbaarheid en 60ste posisie vir kwaliteit en veiligheid. Daarom is dit duidelik dat voedselbekostigbaarheid, ook bekend as ekonomiese toegang, 'n groot uitdaging is, gevolg deur voedselbeskikbaarheid en kwaliteit en veiligheid in daardie volgorde. Die jongste algemene huishoudelike opname data toon 'n toename van 0,8% in die vlak van kwesbaarheid vir honger op huishoudelike vlak in 2021 met 21% op nasionale huishoudingsvlak wat onvoldoende voedselbeskikbaarheid ervaar. Daarom, agbare Speaker, die aantal Wes-Kaapse huishoudings wat onvoldoende voedselbeskikbaarheid ervaar, is effens laer as die nasionale vlak op 19,6%, maar nog steeds kommerwekkend. Die impak van COVID-19 pandemie, die oorlog tussen Rusland en Oekraïne en die voortdurende uitdagings vir energievoorsiening in Suid-Afrika is van die hooffaktore wat die tempo van ekonomiese herstel vertraag. Die COVID-19 pandemie het ook dan die kwesbaarheid van voedselverskaffingskettinge blootgelê en daartoe gelei dat baie mense hulle werk verloor het en op die regering se maatskaplike hulpverlening moes staatmaak, terwyl die oorlog tussen Oekraïne en Rusland ook 'n groot voedselsekerheidsrisiko bedreiging bly vir Suid-Afrika, maar ook vir ander Afrika lande. Die energievoorsieningsuitdaging gaan voort om die sakebedrywighede ook te vertraag, wat bydra tot reeds bestaande uitdagings. Daarom beïnvloed beide die mikro- en die makro-ekonomiese faktore die huidige toestand van voedselrisiko's nie net hier in die Wes-Kaap nie, maar ook in die res van Suid-Afrika, maar ook per implikasie in die res van Afrika. Want daar is 50 lande in die wêreld wat afhanklik is van brood as 'n stapelvoedsel en daar is ernstige implikasies vir die uitvoer van graan veral uit Oekraïne het wat 'n geweldige impak het op voedselsekuriteit ook in die res van die wêreld. Dankie, agbare spreker.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Members, there's 4 opportunities for follow-up questions on all oral questions. The first opportunity will be afforded to the person posing the question. So I'm seeing Honourable van der Westhuizen.
Baie dankie, agbare spreker. Agbare spreker, deur u aan die minister van Landbou. Minister Meyer, wat is die effek wat beurtkrag op voedselsekuriteit en die produksie van voedsel in Suid-Afrika het?
Thank you, Honourable van der Westhuizen. I see the Honourable Minister.
Agbare spreker, beurtkrag het 'n groter negatiewe impak op die landbousektor, op voedselsekuriteit, selfs as COVID. Een van die ernstige implikasies van beurtkrag is dat ons het veral in ons tuinbedryf, het ons spulpunte, ons het besproeiingsboere hier in die Wes-Kaap en daardie besproeiingsboere het energiesekuriteit nodig vir die besproeiing. Soos ons nou hier sit, lede van hierdie huis, is ons nou in die oesseisoen. Dis die hoogtydperk van die oesseisoen en dis die hoogste tydperk waarvoor energiesekuriteit nodig is. Nie net nodig is nie, brood nodig. Almal van ons het vanoggend geëet, almal van ons wil môreoggend eet. En in hierdie energiekrisis het 'n geweldige impak van ons werk met besproeiingsboere. Die volgende enorme impak wat hier is dat ons in die Wes-Kaap is verantwoordelik vir 55% van Suid-Afrika se primêre landbou-uitvoerproduksie. En hierdie impak van beurtkrag gaan 'n effek hê dat ons selfs so veel as 5% minder produkte kan uitvoer. En hierdie huis behoort te weet dat 5% toename of 'n 5% afname het 'n direkte effek van 19.000 werk. Ek is baie bly dat Statistiek Suid-Afrika gister bevestig het dat in Suid-Afrika 169.000 werk geskep is en dat 167 van daardie werk hier in die Wes-Kaap geskep is. Maar ek is bekommerd oor die impak van beurtkrag op ons besproeiingsboere, ons sitrusbedryf, ons druiwebedryf, want Suid-Afrika is die tweede grootste sitrus uitvoerder per volume in die wêreld na Spanje. Die Wes-Kaap is die derde grootste produsering van sitrus en hierdie het geweldige impak. Maar meneer die speaker, hierdie impak ervaar ons nou op die huishoudingsvlak waar mense sukkel om kos te kook, mense sukkel om te lewe, ouers ervaar dit moeilik vir hulle kinders skool toe te gaan, werk toe te gaan. So as ons praat oor die impak van beerdkrag, moet ons praat oor die impak op die mense. En ek dink hierdie kragonderbreking, ek stem saam met ons senior leier in hierdie huis, voormalige premier Pieter Maree, dat hierdie probleem moet aangepak word met die erns en met die wakkerheid en met die geesdrif, because it's urgent and it's important. And that's why we cannot sleep in the national parliament when the crisis is at stake. I'm thankful that members in this house do not sleep. They're awake, unlike them in the National Assembly. And I want to thank you for being awake, because this is not something common in the National Assembly. Thank you, Honourable Member. Thank you, Mavimbi. Thank you, Nkondla. Thank you for being awake.
Honourable
Because we cannot
Minister,
sleep.
can you speak to me?
Sorry, we cannot sleep when people
Order, members.
is facing a crisis of this magnitude. Honourable Speaker, I listen very carefully
Point of order.
to Honourable Member.
Honourable Minister, can you please take your seat? Honourable Mvimbi, is that a point of order? Honourable Minister, please take your seat.
Honourable Speaker, while I welcome the acknowledgement from the Minister, please, it's Mvimbi, not Mavimbi.
Honourable Mvimbi, that is not a point of order. Please take your seat. Honourable Minister, that it is Honourable Mvimbi, just for the record. Honourable Minister, you can continue.
Speaker, I apologize to the chairperson of the Standing Committee of Public Accounts. He's doing an outstanding job, and he knows that I have home feelings towards him. So, Honourable Deputy Speaker, this is not only the impact on production side of agriculture, but it's also the impact on the pack houses, the impact on cold storage, the impact of the transportation. And so I am deeply concerned, because again, at the household level, what this means, ma'am, is that food prices will rise, food inflation will increase, and we will pay a higher price. And with 350, you cannot afford that type of social
Honourable
grant
Minister,
to
please take your
sustain
seat.
families.
Honourable Chief Whip, is that a point of order? Can you, okay, I recognize the Chief Whip of the Opposition.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I would like you to caution the MEC to refer to you rather than pointing out to members.
Thank you very much. Minister, can I please ask that you speak to the chair and not directly to the members?
Honourable Speaker, I again apologize, but my feeling is again home towards the member.
Can you
And so-
have the warm feelings through me to the member?
I will channel my home feelings to the member via your chair.
Thank you, Minister.
But Honourable Speaker, what this question boils down to, ultimately, away from the continental macro institutional level to the individual household level. All of this, and we have seen it, staple food, inflation. We have seen the South African Reserve Bank. We are now outside the inflation band between 3 and 6%. We are now outside that band as a direct result of the impact of the cost of electricity on the food prices. People are suffering. And so we can now talk about the Minister of Energy and Electricity. No, mobility is fine. Electricity. But what we need is a government with a backbone that understand the seriousness of this, that understand the impact of inflation, and understand the devastating impact. People are now paying more for gas. People are now paying more for electricity. Every time when you now, Honourable Speaker, and I think members in this House have also experienced it from their constituencies, that when load shedding is happening and you have 100 units, when it goes off, when it goes on, you suddenly see you've got 90 units. 10 units is gone. And I want to say that this is
Order,
something,
members. Order.
This is something that hurt the poor the most. The
Order,
reason
members.
why they are nonchalant, they don't care. If they don't care, that's the response. This side of the house, we are caring.
Order.
People are ignorant and not caring.
Order, members.
If they
Honourable
connect
Minister,
with their voters.
Honourable Minister, please take your seat. Order, members. Honourable Chief Whip, is that a point of order?
Yes, it is.
Okay, Honourable Chief Whip.
I would like to know if the word that MEC has used that I'm ignorant is parliamentary. Because I'm speaking from experience.
Honourable Minister, did you reflect on the dignity of a member?
Honourable Speaker, if I have referred to the Honourable, I'm happy to apologise, but my body language indicated I spoke to them. But I'm happy because I hold feelings through you. I apologise.
All right, thank you very much. Honourable Minister, you may continue. Order, members.
Question. What happens when your load shedding happens? Take down your credits, units. And when it comes on, please take down your units of your electricity. Please then come to this House.
Honourable Minister, please take your seat. Honourable Kama, is that a point of order?
No, thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, I know that you can't dictate.
It's your point of order, Honourable Kama.
I'm trying to raise the point of
okay.
order. That
Okay, members, I can chair. Honourable members, there's a member on the floor Honourable members, there's a member on the floor. What's your point of order, Honourable Kama?
it's on relevance, Honourable Speaker, because the last time I checked, we were talking about agriculture, and there was a question as to what leads to that. Now I don't know, we're talking about meter boxes, and I don't think that is relevant to.
Honourable.
It's rendering this House useless in terms of our oversight responsibility.
Honourable Kama, relevance is a point of order, but that point of order in that context is not a point of order. The question was posed to the Minister. How the Minister responds to that question is up to the Minister. So I'm going to allow the Minister to continue. Honourable Mayor, Minister Mayor.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. The first law of politics is to understand the concept of causality. And if causality, how one thing
members.
affects and impacts the other. And I'm very disappointed that this member has not passed the test of causality in his
Minister Meyer, please take your seat. Minister Meyer, please take your seat. Honourable Lekker, is that a point of order? Honourable Chief Whip.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I want you to rule on the fact that the MEC has once again spoke on the integrity of a member of this House. Can you rule when he spoke of a concept of causality, that what one thinks, in fact, he even said what you think. That is, it speaks to the integrity of Honourable Kama.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chief Whip of the Opposition. Honourable Mayor, Minister Mayor, I'm going to ask you, did you reflect on the integrity of Honourable Kama? If so, can you please withdraw?
Honourable Speaker, because I have home feelings for the member through you, if I have hurt the feelings of this honourable member, I am happy to withdraw and apologize. Fact of the matter is, people in South Africa are suffering. We are making jokes here. And I think people must understand the severity of this crisis.
Order. Order, members.
People are suffering on a daily basis.
Honourable Minister, please take your seat. Honourable side. Honourable members, there's a member on the floor.
Honourable Speaker, Honourable Speaker, compared to all members in the House, the Honourable Minister or MEC, Dr. Meyer, is also the leader of government business. He ought to lead by example, understand. Here we are holding him accountable. He must respond to the question and not plunge the House into chaos through jokes and innuendos. It's not a point of order, but it's at least it's just a call for some caution. Can we run smoothly, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Chief Whip. As you yourself indicated, it's not a point of order. Honourable Minister, can you continue?
Honourable Speaker, the electricity crisis is bigger than the COVID crisis. And the impact on agriculture is massive. But it is at the household level where I think the impact is felt the most. And this is all caused specifically, not as all the members on that side of the House would like to argue. This is a political crisis because there was politics interfering with energy provision in this country. Let us make no mistake, no matter what people say, the crisis that we face in South Africa is an energy crisis impacting on agriculture, destroying lives and livelihoods in South Africa. I have been to farms and I've seen the impact on farms. There are photo images where you can actually see what is the impact of load shedding, specifically on the graphic side of the impact of it. And I think, Honourable Speaker, the Western Cape is a net exporter of agricultural products. 50% of all the agricultural products are going on the African continent, lesson 101, on the African continent. So this impact, Honourable Member Andricus, is wider than the Western Cape. It is now on the African continent because 50% of South Africa's exports go on the African continent. So this crisis impact on food security on the African continent. But my heart is bleeding because I cannot see how somebody with 350 Rand can go to the shop more than once. You know what the experience is when you go to the shop with the 350 Rand. One time, gone. And so this is a painful experience. And let us remind ourselves that the people are suffering every single day as a result of the impact of load shedding. And that's why this government has now made available 1 billion Rand to deal with this crisis in this government. But while, Honourable Speaker, while this government makes available 1 billion Rand, at Eskom, they are stealing 1 billion Rand every single day. And I want you to check your units when you go home tonight and see what the impact of that 1 billion theft is. Theft comes at the price for the poor. And that's why I agree with Honourable Member Kyla Murray when she said, let's vote out the ANC next year.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. That's the first question. I see Honourable Maran and then Honourable Marais and then Honourable van der Westhuizen.
Thanks very much, Speaker. And thanks for your speech. MEC, a painful experience for farm workers was when your party in 2019 in your manifesto proposed a minimum wage which is equal to the old age pension grant. That's painful when your party introduced a slave wage. MEC, the new minimum wage came into effect yesterday, 4,953 to be exact, and it's determined by national government. Now it's fine. At least the illegal government.
Honourable Maran, can you speak to me? Honourable Maran, speak to the chair. And Minister, you'll have an opportunity to respond.
Through you, Speaker, because the MEC is saying that it's painful, people are struggling to buy food, and workers are suffering. It's true they are suffering because they cannot afford to buy food because of a slave wage that's been proposed by the DA government. Can this MEC tells me, Speaker, whether he supports the new minimum wage that came into the effect yesterday, 4,953.09 cents, to make it possible for farm workers to buy food and to secure food security, or do they still feel that 4,900 is too much and still stands on their position that farm workers should still earn a minimum wage of which is equal to the old age pension grant? Thanks.
Thank you, Honourable Maran. Honourable Minister.
Honourable Speaker, let us be frank. If this government that's running South Africa stops stealing, we can double that minimum wage. So my answer is stop stealing, and I want that minimum wage 3 times. Stop this 1 billion rand theft, because if you stop stealing, we can pay everybody even above the minimum wage.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. I see the Honourable members. The Honourable members. Honourable side, is that a point of order? No, the follow-ups is Honourable Marais and then Honourable van der Westhuizen, and then the 4 is done. So as Honourable Marais.
Thank you. Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, we honor to the Honourable Minister. There's no doubt the Western Cape is the food basket of South Africa. There's also no doubt that in terms of wheat, we are the big producers. And I remember when I was still a young man, that bread, which is a staple food of most South Africans, bread was price controlled. They couldn't just charge the people 20, 21, 22 rand for a loaf. The government interfered and laid down a maximum price for bread in the shops. Do you think, Minister, something must be done to subsidize staple diets of the people in the Western Cape and elsewhere? Every country has staple diets which people, everybody or most people live on. Don't you think the time has come for engaging the National Treasury and Minister to see what can be done to subsidize certain foods which is considered a staple diet?
Thank you, Honourable Marais. Honourable Minister.
Agbare Marais, kan ek in Afrikaans antwoord? Ja, sê, my jy stel. Ek dink agbare Speaker, aan agbare lid Marais, raak in 'n baie pertinente kwessie. Want dit is pynvol om te sien hoe mense daagliks krepeer van ellende en van armoede. En armoede is nie 'n grap nie. En ek hoop lede gaan nie dit beskou as 'n grap nie. Beide kante van die huis. En ek dink daarom het my departement
Order members. Honorable Maran, Honorable Minister, please take a seat. Honorable Maran, you had an opportunity to ask a question. There's now a question by another member, and the Minister is responding to the question of that member. Can you please respect that so that the member that posed the question can hear the answer? There's a constant commentary from you, Honorable Maran. Honorable Klaas, is that a point of order?
Yeah, one thing I can say, I don't know what I can say, but I don't want to deal with point of orders. I want just to ask question to the
Honorable Klaas, that is not a point of order. There's a process as per the rules of how questions are posed. So there's 4 questions already being posed. Members, please settle down. You can't ask a question, Honorable Maran. Honorable Klaas.
I want to ask a question.
No,
It's about
Honorable
what
Klaas,
he has
you're contravening the rules. Can I please ask you to take your seat? Honorable Minister Meyer, you may continue.
Maar op 'n latere stadium sal ek met hom gesels. Ek dink die belangrike vraag van Honorable Member Murray about staple food is absolutely correct. I think we have done a basket of staple food. We've costed it, and we have made some proposals to the National Treasury because we have asked for some exemptions, VAT exemptions, to make food more affordable. We've asked for rebates also to make life a little bit more easier. We have made some specific proposals during the budget speech of the National Minister. We will be making further inputs during the medium-term budget policy statement in the National Assembly, because we do believe that we need to protect this party on this side of the House, who generally do not believe in a protectionist economy. We believe in an open economy, but we are in abnormal circumstances. That's why, because of the pain that we understand of the poor, we support a cap, even a reduction, even elimination on VAT on certain food, but also rebates to make life for people more easier. So I agree with the sentiment of the question in terms of the technical applications. There are different models, but I support the general thrust of the question that came from. And Honourable Member Klaas, after the session here today, we can have a nice cup of tea and we can talk endlessly.
Thank you, Honourable.
Not about cup of tea, it's a reality.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Honourable van der Westhuizen.
Agbare Speaker, hierdie baie dankie aan Minister Meyer vir sy antwoorde tot dusver. Agbare Speaker, ek dink ons almal weet dat 'n integrale deel van 'n gebalanseerde dieet is ook die inname van genoegsame volumes van proteïen.
Order members.
Ons proteïen.
Order members.
Ons weet ook dat as gevolg van die beleid van die nasionale regering daar besig is om 'n groeiende tekort aan veeartse en spesifiek staatsveeartse te ontstaan. En my vraag aan minister Meyer is, hou dit ook 'n risiko in vir voedselsekuriteit? Die feit dat daar nie genoegsame veeartse is wat betyds diere siektes kan identifiseer en so meer nie. En miskien as minister Meyer so gaaf sou wees om ook te verwys na die verspreiding van bek en klouseer en die impak wat dit op ons rooi vleisbedryf het. Baie dankie voor.
Honourable Minister.
Dankie agbare voorsitter van die staande komitee. Die internasionale norm vir veeartse is tussen 200 en 600 veeartse per miljoen inwoners. Suid-Afrika is tans tussen 60 en 70 veeartse per miljoen inwoners. Ons is dus tans, soos ons hier is, slegs 25% van die norm. Anders gestel, ons is 75% onder die internasionale norm per miljoen inwoners ten opsigte van veeartse. So daardie norm het ernstige implikasies vir dieregesondheid en dierewelsyn. Hier in die Weskaap het ons, we have a veterinary export certification office, Mr. Klaas, and at that office we certify the export of meat and meat products. The total value of that is 5.3 billion rand, lots of money. Every month, Mr. Klaas, 2,600.
Minister, speak to me.
Honourable Member Klaas, 2,600 applications for meat and meat products exports. We know that protein, as the Honourable Member van der Westhuizen rightfully points out, is a very basic, very important, necessary ingredient for the basic diet, and we have serious implications if we have a shortage of veterinarians. And I have now written to the National Minister to ask her to also intervene, because as you know, veterinary services, particularly that specific aspect of it, is a Schedule 4 function in the Constitution, and I think this poses a serious risk. I'm particularly concerned about this risk manifesting in the Free State, Eastern Cape and other provinces, and so this is an added risk, an added complexity, because shortage of veterinarians will also impact on animal health. That shortage of veterinarians will also impact not only in animal health, but also in the health of the people who are eating these particular products. So, Honourable Member, I am concerned about this situation. I think members on this House will also know that, and Honourable Member of Beaufort West will know, the seriousness of this situation also in the Karoo. And I think members of this House must join me, and I call on the leader of the official opposition to support my request that this country cannot have one veterinary training institute at Onderstepoort through the University of the Free State. This is absolutely important that we get another training institute for veterinary services, preferably in one of the coastal provinces, either KwaZulu-Natal, Eastern Cape, or the Western Cape. I think that will make a significant contribution to the increase of veterinary services. Honourable Member of the Standing Committee, I will make a major announcement during my budget speech, because I have now prioritized this specific aspect. I met with my HOD and I said this year, animal health and animal safety will be a key focus of the rest of my term of office. And obviously, very important, that's why this is the only province with a farm worker program, a farm worker budget, a farm worker agri-worker budget, agri-worker competition. You know how lovely that lamb shank tastes, but because you know.
Order, members. Order, members.
No.
Order, members.
The agri-worker competition, the only one in the country, is in this province. The competition only in this province. The only province that sends the agri-worker overseas to the Netherlands, Rotterdam, to Berlin in Germany, to observe the biggest fruit global festival called Fruit Look. Nowhere, anywhere does it happen. And I want to thank the Honourable Member Maran that every year attends it and every year supports it. And thank you for your support in the Standing Committee to get the budget approved for the agri-workers. Agri-workers is the cornerstone of agriculture in the Western Cape. I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. That concludes question 1. Question 2 on the order paper or question paper. We now move on to question 5 on the question paper for oral reply. I see the Minister, Minister Allen.
Speaker, thank you so much. I also want to say thank you to Member Klaas for this particular question, and then also remind the House that on the 27th of January, the Mayor for the City of Cape Town, the MMC responsible for human settlements, top management in terms of the South African Police Service, the Minister for Infrastructure, together with his department officials, and the Department of Police Oversight and Community Safety met in this very room to address this particular matter. This is a matter that remains a concern, not only to the Western Cape government, but to many of our stakeholders as well. But to answer that question, I'm also wanting to state, Speaker, that I have provided Member Class with the entire PMG recording and the relevant WCPP link so that he is able to then further listen to that 3-hour engagement that was facilitated by the Chairperson for Human Settlements. And I also want to say thank you to Member Maseko, because we know it is an integrated approach. To answer the question specifically, the investigation into extortion remains the mandate of the South African Police Service. The department, however, plays a key role in co-chairing the Anti-Gang Provincial Joints Committee and partners with the South African Police Service by serving on the bi-weekly Extortion Priority Committee. We've always maintained that it takes a coordinated effort of all role players, and the 27th of January's meeting confirmed that once again. But further to that, the department also co-chairs a bi-weekly LEAP operational steercom meeting with the City of Cape Town. Further, the department also, in terms of our court watching brief program, monitors a number of court cases across various crime categories, but also specifically to extortion cases. Also through the whole of society approach and the whole of government approach, the government structures and civilians are encouraged to report extortion to the South African Police Service. We are always saying, and through you, Speaker, to the residents of the Western Cape, is that any complaints that we are receiving via the department, there can also be complaints submitted anonymously. That particular number is 0800 31 4444. I will repeat, 0800 31 4444. But in addition to this, further, Speaker, the Western Cape government remains committed to fighting various forms of crime, and we encourage, and we have had various interactions, especially in a number of priority areas, to mobilize our neighborhood watches and engagement around our CPFs, because they play a vital role in feeding information to the South African Police Service, to law enforcement, and to SAPS as a critical cog in addressing this particular matter. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. I see Honourable Klaas, then Honourable Barnes, and then Honourable Bosman. And Honourable Kama.
Thank you for answering my question, but I will just give you an extra mile of question that I can give you, that are all mobile police stations at this moment covered? If so, prove to me, because I've got mobile police station in Zolani that is not operating. I've got mobile police station in Paarl that is not, it looked like operating, but it's only 2 people there. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Klaas. Honourable Minister, I know that that was bordering on a new question, so if you are able to answer it, you are free to do so. Honourable Minister.
Thank you so much, Member Klaas. In terms of the Constitution, the MEC, or in our case, the Provincial Minister, will sign off on our policing infrastructure needs and priorities. We have made it clear in terms of our policing needs and priorities that there's a number of satellite stations, or like you are saying, mobile stations, that is required in a number of areas. That particular engagement happens during the first week of April, and I have listed a number of mobile of satellite stations, and those that you have listed is on my list, together with stations in Makaza, which should have been there for a long time ago already, but also the one in Mamre, for example, but we have a number, and I will definitely make sure that the office sends you information and to the Standing Committee directly after the policing infrastructure needs is signed off with our Provincial Commissioner.
Thank you very much, Minister. I see Honourable Barnes.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I hear now the MEC is saying that extortion is a function of SAPS. However, each time when we enter the House here, all the time we would hear that the Premier saying that the safety plan is static, it evolves with time and addresses threats. Now, extortion is one of our threats within this province, and GBV also hijacking. I haven't heard anything. In fact, there is no provision made for these issues. What I would want to know from the Minister, in the upcoming budget, is he planning or intending to include these matters that I'm raising now? I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Barnes. Honourable Minister.
Thank you so much, Speaker. I appreciate the question. And that is what we have consistently said, that within our mandate, Speaker, we are wanting to make sure that our oversight is leading to better service delivery. We are not taking away from our mandate, but we also realize in terms of the Constitution, SAPS has a clear mandate. We are able to collect information. We know that intelligence will sit directly with the South African Police Service. There's matters in the city of Cape Town where there's a dedicated unit in order to collect information as well that is shared via that provincial joint meeting and engagement so that that information can be analyzed. It can then lead to intelligence, which will ultimately make sure that those perpetrators are held accountable. For the record, I'm also wanting to state that we have seen that there is at least currently 2 major cases within the Western Cape High Court dealing directly with this particular extortion, racketeering, and plain criminality that has plagued our province. But I want to stress again, and I will make sure that I send that to Member Barnes as well. The Standing Committee on Human Settlements on the 27th of January ventilated this particular matter, and there's a clear set of resolutions where we are wanting to be held accountable, but I will also hold other departments duly accountable for the role that they are needing to play consistently as we are asking. And if I listened, Speaker, to the question properly, I think there might be a slight hint that Member Barnes could be supporting our call for devolution, in that we need to do more towards influencing the South African Police Service. But thank you so much for the question, Member Barnes.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Honourable Bosman.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, through you. Minister, are you able to perhaps tell us some more about the implementation of the safety plan and the anti-extortion task team, and specifically what role the South African Police Service is playing? And also, Minister, with the extortion rackets in the Western Cape, are you able to perhaps share with the House whether there are any evidence of high-level involvement from senior politicians in a certain political party?
Is that a point of order? So the 4 opportunities have already been taken. So then the last opportunity will be Honourable Kama. So there's no more opportunities for this question. Honourable Minister.
Thank you so much. Speaker, there is certain information that I'm able to make public. A number of these matters, colleagues, through you, Speaker, would be highly sensitive. It would be highly sensitive, and it will place a number of people's lives potentially at risk. So to answer that particular question, the first part will be that we have seen that there is an extortion committee, a high-level committee that is an integrated committee consisting of the South African Police Service, the City of Cape Town, the Department of Police Oversight and Community Safety, and together with the NPA. From there's also then a particular task team that will work on an ad hoc basis, but also investigate a number of these matters. And if Member Bosman is aware of any particular person that is involved, and if that person is sitting in this House, I would love to get that information so that we can make sure that all processes is followed, because I think no one would want to be associated to any form of extortion, but we would rather want to see those that are busy with those type of activities in our communities, be it in Khayelitsha, in Long Street, or anywhere in our province, that they will ultimately be held accountable and they will be brought to book and land up in Paulsmoor.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. The last opportunity, Honourable Kama.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I think maybe the MEC did not get the question of Member Barnes. Let me ask that question perhaps, because I think the understanding, Speaker, is that there was a document, a working document that was presented as a safety plan. And that working document promises the citizens of the Western Cape that the government is going to have an integrated approach to fight crime. And it's going to be evidence-led. You know, it's going to be evidence-based and all that. Now, the question is, because the issue of extortions around construction does not start yesterday or with the killing of the city official, may his soul rest in peace. Now, the question is, using this safety document, what is it that the government is doing, whether through having evidence? Do we have evidence as to which sites are potentially targeted? And what are the possible reasons? And how much are we investing as government using the safety plan to ensure that we prevent instances where there are these people who go and commit these atrocious crimes in these sites? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Kama. Honourable Minister.
Thank you so much, Speaker. I'm going to respond to the question. I appreciate the question. And I'm sincerely not wanting to sound in a certain way, Speaker. When we talk about data and an evidence-based approach, what we mean in policing is that we collect the data with the assistance from forensic pathology services, so we know where murders are happening, where assault is happening, where GBV is happening, because that information is recorded via forensic pathology services. That's the one thing. We collect the data. The evidence-based in policing terms actually means that when we are influencing where officers are deployed, the time they are working, where they are working, and the operations that they are conducting in order to reduce crime. Evidence teaches us in policing that whenever there is engagements around anti-gang strategy, you need to ultimately build the evidence in order to ensure that you are able to tackle that particular gang and its modus of operandi. So that's an evidence-based policing strategy. I'm also delighted to announce that our work with a foundation was also now adopted by the South African Police Service, and during the month of January, that particular foundation had high-level interactions with the South African Police Service to actually explain what is a data-led approach and an evidence-based approach. And Speaker, again for the record, I was very delighted during the SONA to hear that our president, that our national president, His Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa, actually state in his State of the Nation address that the South African Police Service will now undertake a data-led approach to policing. And I've echoed in this chamber, that is exactly what we've been doing since 2019. And we will continue to do it, but on the crime intelligence part. And I think that is, through you, Speaker, what Member Kama is referring to, the task, and from a crime intelligence point of view, that mandate does not sit with LEAP. It is a national competency. But again, Speaker, and with all due respect, if I'm listening to the question, I can clearly see that the members are nudging the Western Cape to get certain competencies to deal with intelligence, and that is why we are calling for devolution, so that powers can sit here, so that we can ultimately make sure that the intelligence leads to arrests that are being made. And I want to say thank you to the members for the questions, because I can read between the lines and I can see that there is members of this House that is seeing that they are wanting to give certain capabilities to our province that isn't in terms of the Constitution, but we support We support
Order, members.
We support the ANC's call for greater levels of powers within the Western Cape. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. Members, that concludes question 5 on the oral on the question paper for oral reply. We now, members, Honourable Minister, and you had an opportunity to answer questions. We now move on to question number 7 on the oral paper. I see the Honourable Minister Simmers.
Thank you very much, Speaker, and through you, thank you to the member for the question. As at the end of January 2023, the housing backlog in the Western Cape sits at 598,955. Of this, 356,524 is within the city of Cape Town, and 242,431 is in the 24 non-metro areas. And based on the current quantum, it will require a budget in excess of 100 billion rand to clear this backlog. That's 50 times my current budget for human settlements. Notwithstanding the current semigration patterns, which will further exacerbate the current backlog. The Western Cape, Honourable Speaker, is a trailblazer and is a province of choice for a number of our citizens because of our good governance and stellar delivery record. Being so efficient is both a gift and a curse. We are paying the price for the dismal performance of the ANC-governed zombie provinces. In the Western Cape, we are changing the lives of our less fortunate citizens, one housing opportunity at a time. On this basis, the department has encouraged municipalities to develop allocation policies that are aligned with the provincial and national selection framework. This will ensure that qualifying beneficiaries who have been waiting for an extended period of time are assisted, while also prioritizing the vulnerable groups, which are those persons, and they are those that are 60 years and older, living with medically certified disabilities, registered and vetted military veterans, because this is a standard criteria from the National Department of Military Veterans, backyarders, and those that are longest on the waiting list, and the norm in the province is 15 years and longer at the moment. Furthermore, the department also provides training to municipalities on how to manage the Western Cape Housing Demand Database and ensure that it is regularly checked and updated to verify the status of beneficiaries on the specific database. I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. The first opportunity is Honourable Kassim, but Honourable Kassim is not here, so I'm going to move over to Honourable Maran, then Honourable Maseko, and then Honourable Maree.
Thanks, Chairperson. And the question that was being asked is details of the current backlog with regards to people that have applied for free housing opportunities. The question to the MEC is Transac's housing project in Worcester. Can the MEC tell us how many houses has been built since 2019 up till now? And whether any of those houses has been handed over to beneficiaries? If not, what are those reasons? Thanks.
Thank you, Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and once again, thank you to Member Maran for the question. Indeed, Transx is a site which we have piloted the use of ABT, or Alternative Building Technologies. Since 2019, up until last week, all 190 houses have been completed. They've been snagged. We've been provided with a certificate of occupation. So the Honourable Member will be glad to hear, Honourable Speaker, through you, that we have sent through an invitation to the Standing Committee Chairperson and the Standing Committee members on when we will actually hand over those units. So which means those first 190 individuals and qualifying beneficiaries which have been waiting since 2019 will now be afforded the housing opportunity. And I want to thank the member for consistently hammering on Transx, because now you will see what will happen in the next few weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. I see Honourable Maseko.
Thank you very much.
Honourable Maran and Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Speaker. The reality of the backlog is that the land invasion redirect the budget, Minister. The community dynamics, it's another deterrent for service delivery for the housing. And also the cut of the budget, that is the ripple effect from the equitable share. That's our reality for the backlog.
What I want to find out from you is to what an extent is the extortion syndicate and lack of intelligence unit in the South African police services impacted the rate of housing delivery and consequently contributed in the housing backlog in the Western Cape province?
Thank you, Honourable Maseko. Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, through you to the Standing Committee Chairperson of Human Settlements. Indeed, the impact of land invasions, the impact of budget that's been cut year on year to cover for other areas within the national fiscus has seen, together with now the most recent increase in extortionism across various sites of Western Cape. And this data is up until the 2nd of December 2022. 21,624 qualifying beneficiaries are still now, unfortunately, part of the backlog that I have answered Member Kasim, and 97% of those affected are residents within the City of Cape Town jurisdiction, Honourable Member. So indeed, land invasions, extortionism, and a dwindling budget has a massive impact. And like I said, we will need around 100 billion rand to effectively address the real backlog of the Western Cape. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Honourable Murray.
Thank you, Speaker. To the Minister. The thing that bothers me is that the Constitution don't say you have a right to a house. It says you have a right of access to adequate housing. There's a big difference between a right to a house and the right of access to a house. Now, what would the Minister say in his opinion constitutes adequate housing? And when you talk about free housing, are you sure that the housing given is adequate? That a family of 4 get a house that's adequate for a family of 4, and that a family of 6 get a house that's adequate for a family of 6. Have you done that sums, or can you give a family a house of 5 or 6 people with 1 bedroom? And is this standard the Western Cape set for adequate housing a standard also adopted by all the other 8 provinces? Or does each province determine its own standards in terms of adequate housing?
Thank you, Honourable Murray. Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and through you to the Honourable Murray. I do believe that the National Housing Code and regulations actually answers the first component of a housing opportunity, or the adequate housing opportunity, which is why the structure of the grants is as follows. We have the Human Settlements Development Grant, which speaks to the development of service sites as a provision of a housing opportunity in its infancy format, up until the construction of a 40 square meter house, which is the national norm. Each of these units must have 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, and an open plan kitchen and living area. We taking cognizance that many of our people pre-1994 never had the opportunity to own actually even a 20 square meter housing opportunity. This is deemed as sufficient to kickstart their journey into ownership. I must emphasize it's state-subsidized housing to create, firstly, an opportunity for you to gain access to ownership. Secondly, to ensure that those of our qualifying beneficiaries who can ultimately afford to extend to those units can then do so, which is why adequate housing deems it's a starting journey for you on your journey to ownership. Sadly, we have seen the distortion of certain political parties thinking of housing as a double-story house, for instance, which is not the intention of what the housing code is. The other component is Member Maria will note that across all 9 provinces, there is the emergence of backyard dwellers and there is the emergence of informal settlements, which is also a form of qualifying beneficiaries that need state assistance. But once again, to address the issue of informal settlements, there's a separate grant that was initiated last year after much lobbying, among others, by the Western Cape, to see how effectively we can start the process of improving the lives of those that live in informality in the Western Cape. And this is where provinces do have a leeway how we implement this program. Even before the National Minister last year announced the targeted grant, the Western Cape since 2017, through its own funding streams, has actually started to go beyond just the upgrading of a site. We have now gone to giving a wet core, giving a concrete toilet with a wash basin, and ultimately the beneficiary or the recipient could then ultimately build and extend the house. We will be making key announcements within this budget cycle. We call it incremental housing, which is going above and beyond even what the national government expects of any province. Because we have said the cornerstone of everything that we do, whether you live in informality or you're getting a formal housing opportunity in the Western Cape, we want to ensure ownership. But part of that ownership is also restoring people's dignity. And many of the beneficiaries which are on this backlog, which I have engaged, now I've been across the entire province, many of them just want to kickstart. They want to actually build their own houses or at least get to a point where we can service a site, give them a partial structure, which is the incrementality formula which we'll be using, and they want to build their own houses. So those are the key aspects which we will be focusing on. So indeed, adequate housing speak to that, giving you a kickstart in life, ensuring that ultimately you do progress further in your life, Honourable Member Marie. But what we've also seen in comparison to the other 8 provinces, and this is where local government is key, where a municipality takes ownership with the provincial government. Not just in the Western Cape, I have seen this. We do see other quality of houses being built, some with tiled roofs, some have different colors, some have showers, some even have solar panels, which is why it's a partnership approach when you seek to address the issue of housing in a specific province. In our province, 2 such examples is the municipality of Mossel Bay, where you will actually see above and beyond what the national norms expects of us. They have actually installed solar panel geysers. They've ensured there's access to warm water in those houses. If you go to Swartland municipality, the WIP project, its next phase, once again, adaptations, safety aspects, stoops being introduced, different types of lighting, once again to provide our qualifying beneficiaries access to an adequate housing opportunity, fully understanding that when we transfer ownership and they get a title deed, many of them want to pass that asset on to the next generation. And doing that, some of our qualifying beneficiaries work. They extend out of their own pocket or get access to a bond to actually build those houses to the size which they deem fit. So many of them welcome a 2-bedroom house with a toilet, with an open plan kitchen and living area, because many of them never had it. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister Simmers. Honourable members, that is the end of questions for oral replies. Our standing replies will be printed on Hansard. There will now be an opportunity as per Rule 145 for member statements. I recognise the DA. Honourable Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. I want to use this opportunity today to focus attention on the stellar work that is being done by the DA-led government in bringing government closer to the people. On Monday, Executive Mayor of the Cape Winelands District Municipality, Elna van Schlicht, made a stop in Stellenbosch as part of a Mayoral Monday outreach. First instituted in September 2022, Mayor van Schlicht, her MICO members and officials have travelled across the district to meet and engage directly with businesses, NGOs and community organisations. Today, Honourable Speaker, as it is First Thursday, members of the Executive in the Western Cape, together with officials from the City of Cape Town, will be engaging residents one-on-one in order to listen and to provide help. At a time when the ANC national government is failing to open itself to accountability and disregarding the oversight mechanisms of the National Assembly and the NCOP, in the Western Cape, the provincial and local governments are meeting communities where they are. I also welcome Minister Morale Wenger's #Messages for Morale campaign aimed at encouraging residents of the province to give their inputs on the Western Cape's main budget. These engagements go a long way in enabling an environment that builds trust and encourages transparency between governments and residents. I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Chief Whip. I now see the ANC. Honourable Mvimpi.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. The ANC note with concern caution and as well as to a certain extent with disappointment, the appointment of Honorable Ricardo Mackenzie as the MEC for Transport. And we have fed that disappointment into the criteria that might have been used by the Premier in appointing these MECs, because the Premier seems hell-bent in appointing yes men and those who are singing for their supper. We have seen now on the eve of the appointment of the honorable member, while he was still singing for his supper, he stood in the house calling the taxi industry thuggery and criminal, and also those that are invoking terrorism. His first assignment in the new portfolio was to intervene in the planned shutdown of the taxi industry. He only agreed to a meeting because he wanted to avert the planned stay away. When 20 issues and concerns were raised, he chose to appoint a taxi task team. We hope that this task team will go a long way to address the myriad of structural challenges in the industry, including the need for subsidization, the challenges presented by the abrupt termination of the Red Dot, Blue Dot initiative, and many other initiatives. And we hope that the grandstanding that was done during the State of the Province address is actually going to come back and haunt them. The central line is another issue that needs to be addressed. And also we have noted that the honorable member misled the House along with guests who were present during the SOPA and PRASA by referring to PRASA as dumping people in Mitchell's Plain. But on closer scrutiny of the matter, this is what we have found out. PRASA has been engaging with the city of Cape Town regarding this issue, and the actual people who really do not care about these communities is actually the city of Cape Town and the DA. PRASA could not acquire the land for human settlement.
Honourable Mvimbi, your time has expired.
To approach the Department of Human Settlement for assistance.
Thank you, Honourable Mvimbi. Please take your seat. Thank you very much. I now see the EFF. Okay, all right. Let's move on. I now see the ANC. Oh, my apologies, the DA. Honourable Klaas.
Can I do for her?
Honourable Klaas, are you wanting to do a statement?
Yes.
All right, then I did provide you an opportunity. You said no, so it's fine. I'll allow you to do that.
Thank you, Speaker.
Honourable Klaas, can I please ask that you put on the microphone and stand by your seat? You need to speak from your bench.
Are you fine now?
Honourable members, there's a member on the floor.
Are you fine now? EFF would like to take this opportunity to condemn the Western Cape Department of Health in the manner in which it continues to treat nurses working on contracts in its various facilities. During the height of the COVID pandemic, the department hired nurses on contract in various hospitals, including temporary health facilities. The COVID-19 facilities such as Bracken Gate continue to operate as transitional care facility, and the contract of nurses were renewal from time to time. The Bracken Gate facility management has now made a decision to terminate the contract of all its nurses who were described as heroes and heroines during the height of the pandemic. And instead, on replacing with new nurses from elsewhere, this is how inhumane the DA-led government treats workers, including those who assisted them during difficult times. Instead of absorbing these nurses into the system and making them permanent, this department is pulling all stop to make sure that they go back to being unemployed. The same government that prides itself as being the best when it comes to the list of unemployment rate in the country, is now hell-bent of pursuing workers who are at forefront of service delivery. Now that the nurses are planning a protest, the department has circulated a letter to the chief executive officers of Tigersburg Hospital, Easter Refuge Hospital.
Honorable Klaas,
and
your time has
Kaapstad, asking
expired.
them.
Thank you very much. Please take your seat. Thank you. I now see, Honorable Klaas, please take your seat. I now see the DA.
Geagte Speaker, as gevolg van die gesamentlike poging van amptenare, kontrakteurs en belanghebbendes, kon Saxonsia Junior Hoërskool 'n uitbreiding van die hoërskool meer graad 8 en 9 leerders akkommodeer. Hierdie skool vorm deel van die Wes-Kaapse Departement van Onderwys se innoverende versnelde bouprogram wat daarop gemik is om kapasiteit vir die leerderplasings te verhoog. Hierdie klaskamers was binne 65 dae en binne haar begroting van R40 miljoen gebou. Die skool was gereed vir die begin van die 2023 akademiese jaar en het daartoe bygedra dat daar geen ongeplaaste leerders in die Atlantis area was nie, soos wat ons gehoor het van die skoolhoof. Na onaangekondige oorsigbesoek deur die staande komitee van onderwys laasweek, kon die komiteelede eerstehands die uitsonderlike bougehalte van die nuwe skool aanskou. Deur 'n kombinasie van baksteen en mortier en alternatiewe staalraambou tegnologie te gebruik, is die skool netjies gebou om aan die behoeftes van die gemeenskap te voorsien. Tydens die besoek is die volgende installasies gesien: 9 splinternuwe klaskamers wat altesaam ongeveer 405 ekstra leerders akkommodeer, 'n veeldoelige leersentrum vir ongeveer 200 tot 250 leerders, 2 nuwe JoJo watertenke, 'n nuwe kluis vir eksamenvraestelle te stoor, hulpbronpakke vir skryfbehoeftes, handboeke sowel as skoonmaakprodukte vir 1 tot 2 jaar, verskeie olyfbome en vetplante wat rondom die skool geplant was vir volhoubaarheid en 'n groen omgewing rondom die nuwe strukture te bevorder. Geagte Speaker, ons kan trots wees op die gehalte konstruksie wat by die skool uitgevoer was. Wat ons laasweek gesien het, is moontlik wanneer ons 'n hele samelewingsbenadering volg. Die konstruksiemaatskappy het ook plaaslike maatskappye opgelei om subkontrakteurs te word en het deur naweke en feestyd gewerk om te verseker dat die skool betyds gebou word. Daar word ook baie betrokkenheid vanaf ouers en skoolbeheerliggaam in hierdie projek gesien, wat altyd deel vorm van die kriteria van 'n suksesvolle skool. Saxonsia Junior Hoërskool is 'n uitstekende voorbeeld van die departement se innoverende versnelde bouprogram en ons sien uit na nog verdere vordering in hierdie program.
Agbare Baartman, jou tyd is verstreke. Honourable members, honourable members, I now see the ANC.
Thank you, Speaker. The ANC welcomes the presidential employment stimulus, which has reached the 1 million opportunity mark. Launched in October in 2020, in the height of the COVID-19 lockdown, President Ramaphosa launched the presidential employment stimulus to create opportunities in jobs, provide work experience, strengthen livelihoods, develop skills, and encourage small business owners. The Presidential Employment Stimulus is an integral part of the Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan developed by the ANC national government in order to mitigate the negative effects of COVID-19 on our economy and livelihoods. A central priority of the Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan is to advance rapid and inclusive growth so as to create more decent jobs. The aim of the Presidential Employment Stimulus is to utilize public funding to create jobs, support livelihoods given of the failure of the private sector to create jobs. Among the achievements of the Presidential Employment Stimulus are nearly 6,000 young people have been placed as school assistants. Over 142,000 production input vouchers have been issued to subsistence farmers, assisting them to resume and expand after disruptions of COVID-19. 54,000 early childhood development practitioners have received support to ensure the survival and reopening of ECD centers. 32,000 people in the creative sector have been supported to produce movies, animations, books in indigenous languages, theatre productions, mural art, and much more. and 26 of our universities have been supported to place graduates in work that provides them experience relevant to their qualifications. Whilst the DA complains and makes smokes and mirrors programs, the ANC government nationally is hard at work. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nkondlo. I now see the DA.
Agbare Speaker, baie dankie vir die geleentheid. Load shedding has become such a crisis that is interfering with municipalities' ability to provide the most basic services, especially as it relates to water. Water is life, and life needs to preserve. Therefore, water needs to be treated and pumped for it to be fit for consumption. And for that to happen, electricity is a necessity. With the continued mismanagement and corruption at Eskom, the ANC is not only depriving this country of lights, it is also leaving the taps dry. Gelukkig vir die inwoners van die Weskaap, the Western Cape government is stepping up where the national government is failing our municipalities. The Department of Local Government has allocated almost 89 million to make sure that critical water infrastructure is not put permanently out of action by relentless and unpredictable ANC-sponsored blackouts. This money will be used to procure emergency diesel generators to be used for water treatment, water distribution, and wastewater system during periods of prolonged load shedding. The DA difference in the administration of these funds is that there will be strict controls and conditions attached to the use of thereof. Municipalities will be required to report on the use of these funds to the Department of Local Government to make sure every cent is spent in service of our resident. And that is what people in the Western Cape has come to expect, and that should be the norm in the rest of our country. It is the people's money, and the DA seems to be the only party that understands that. Baie dankie.
Dankie, achtbare Seleko. I see the honourable members. Order, honourable members. Member Maran, we are nearly at the end of the sitting. I now see the Freedom Front Plus.
Speaker, the Freedom Front Plus mourns the fact that South Africa has become a lawless society where respect for authority and even fear for the long arm of the law is non-existent. A country at the mercy of cartels, but also murderers, rapists, juvenile delinquents at all levels of society. Even Parliament, all three spheres of Parliament, government has set new standards for disrespect of rules, regulations, and authority. Our standing rules of this House is not worth the paper it's written on. Nobody shows any respect for it. I don't know why we got rules. Let's take the following irrelevant questioning. Rule 44, nobody observe it. Repetitive arguments, Rule 50. Grave disorder, nobody worries about it. Non-interruptions clause 40. Nobody eats it. They interrupt ad infinitum. The list is endless. Contraventions are not punished in terms of Rule 45 by any speaker in this House. The speaker is the garbage boy of this House. That's how he's being treated. So why do we have rules? No wonder the public has lost respect for this Western Cape Parliament. They don't even listen to the videos. I'll watch how many people. There's 7 million people in this province. If 300 view our videos, then they say we've done well. 300 out of 7 million. Members should do themselves.
Honourable Marek, can you please conclude?
Members should do themselves a favor and watch how many people even view our videos. It's time to take a real hard look at our behavior and performances in this House.
Thank you, Honourable
Apply the
Murray.
rules or scrap the rules.
Thank you, Honourable Murray. I see the Al-Jamar.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, it is a fact that apartheid has left a legacy of severe inequalities and socio-economic imbalances, which led to, among other issues, a lack of inadequate housing for the poor. People continue to live under extreme squatter in informal settlements, locations, and the various townships of the Cape Flats. Before 1994, the city of Cape Town based its planning on how to control the influx of citizens from other parts of the country. It is indeed disturbing to see that 30 years into democracy, we still have a form of influx control in spatial planning. The poor and working class people are being driven out of the city, and there are no affordable housing developments in the city or near the city for them. The province and city have allowed the housing backlog to increase drastically. We have a housing crisis comprising of A, lack of adequate housing, B, slow rate of delivery, C, evictions, especially in the rural areas. It is not surprising that housing activists in the province have taken the Western Cape government to court over the sale of the Tafelberg property in Sea Point. Al-Jamar salutes these activists for their fight against apartheid spatial planning. This 1.2 hectare site should be developed into affordable housing for the poor. We see on the Cape Flats that housing for the poor are developed on the borders of more affluent areas. Apartheid spatial planning continues in the white leafy suburbs. The province and city have a constitutional obligation.
Honourable Brankes, please conclude. Your time has expired.
The province and city have a constitutional obligation in the disposal of public land and fair public participation in
Thank you,
decisions
Honourable
taken.
Brankes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Brankes. I now see the DA.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Speaker, today's debate has seen much discussion on the energy crisis in our province. However, I believe that every member of this House will agree with me when I say that it's unacceptable for any medical facility to put a patient's life in danger as a result of a power cut.
Pretorius, if you can just give me 1 second. Honourable members, this is the maiden speech of the member. Please allow the member to deliver his maiden speech.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, it is not an exaggeration to say that when it comes to the healthcare, a reliable supply of electricity can literally mean the difference between life and death. It is for this reason that I wish to express my gratitude to the Department of Health and Wellness for stepping up to the plate and ensuring that even our smallest health facilities are not left without power. Starting last month, the department has been rolling out hybrid inverters to more than 50 rural clinics across the province, with a further 71 to follow in phase 2. These inverters are cost-effective and environmentally friendly, but more than this, will provide power for the critical systems that keep our patients healthy and alive. For many, these smaller clinics are the sole source of healthcare available, and this initiative is proof that this government refuses to leave our rural communities behind. When we speak of the DA difference, Speaker, this is what we mean: real solutions to the problems caused by the national government, which will have a real impact on the lives of our citizens. I commend Minister Mbombu and the Department of Health and Wellness on their fine work in this area and invite all members of the House to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you very much, honourable members. Members, that concludes member statements. In accordance with Rule 145(6), I now allow one or more members of the executive present to respond to the members' statements for not more than 5 minutes collectively. Honourable Minister. Simmers for the record. My
Honourable
apologies.
Speaker, thank you very much. I would just have to touch on two specific pertinent points which has come through. One point came from Member Mvumbi in terms of the PRASA acquisition of land and to actually move people from the central land. I just want to give the member facts, because in exactly 9 days from now, I had a meeting a year ago with the individual who's now your Secretary General, who's about to become the former Minister of Transport. Since then, the National Department of Transport, or PRASA, there's no confirmed funding, even though they committed to providing funding to move the citizens from the central line. They committed to ensuring that they will buy land to move the people to. 12 months later, Honourable Speaker, no portion of land has been bought.
Order, members.
The portion of land
Members.
identified is not sufficient enough for the decanting
Order, members.
of citizens on the central line.
Honourable Minister, please take your seat. Honourable members, there was member statements. The rules provide for a response by the executive to those member statements. When a member statement was delivered, Honourable Mkondlo, when the member statement, that is a response to the member statement. I mean, that is as per the rules. So allow the minister, Honourable Mkondlo and Honourable Chief Whip, on the Honourable Ministers on the floor responding to statements made. If you like it or not, that is the response as per the rules. So allow the minister the opportunity to respond. Honourable Minister, you may continue.
And Honourable Speaker, through you, as much as the opposition might like to make this a human settlements matter, the National Minister of Transport committed to providing funding to see those people move from the central line. And that's why I'm referring to this specific objective. But like anything else that the ANC government does it at the national level, it was all hot air, no results as we speak. Then to the Honourable Member of Al Jama, Speaker, through you, where we are developing projects, it is not just on the periphery of this province or in a municipal area. We have projects within all 25 municipalities that actually seek to integrate different communities. And I would advise the Honourable Member, if he has not done so already, to make contact with the Standing Committee Chairperson of Human Settlements. Get a list of all 176 projects and see what we are developing. But we are breaking down the segregation of apartheid. Yes, it takes time, but we are integrating our people to mixed-use developments. I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. Are there any further members of the executive that would like to? Is there anyone online? All right. Thank you very much, Minister Simmers. That brings us to the end of member statements. In terms of Rule 151, all notices of motions by members must be delivered to the Secretary for placement on the order paper. Accordingly, these motions have been duly submitted and published on the order paper below the line. We now move on to motions without notice as per Rule 150. Members would note that in terms of the Rule 150 pertaining to motions without notice, condolences and congratulatory were submitted to the Programming Authority prior to the plenary. And members would further remember that motions without notices on congratulatory and condolences will not be allowed in the sitting if the Programming Authority has not processed them. In this regard, the table staff informs me that in the Programming Authority meeting, political parties submitted the names of honourable members in the desired order of speaking, and I indicated their respective members with the desire to move a motion without notice in this sitting of the House. I will therefore, just for noting and for the minutes, call out the honourable members' names who have accordingly been submitted and approved. The Programming Authority therefore approved the following members' motions as follows. Honourable M. Kama, Honourable C. M. Dugmore, Honourable P. Z. Lekker, Honourable N. G. Baku Vos, Honourable C. M. Dugmore, Honourable A. P. Barnes, Honourable D. M. Baartman, Honourable A. P. van der Westhuizen, Honourable M. L. M. Maseko, Honourable L. M. Maseko again, and Honourable G. Bosman. I now put the motions duly submitted and approved by the Programming Authority to the House. Are there any objections? Honourable Klaas, is that an objection?
I want just to a clarity. Of motion.
Honourable Klaas, we are that your motion will come later. This is what has been agreed to by the Programming Authority, but we're still going to get to your one.
Okay, thank you.
All right, can I put the question again? Are there any objections? No objections. Agreed to, members? The motions will appear in the minutes of the proceedings and on Hansard in each member's name as if that member had read them aloud. Honourable members, I will now allow members to move motions without notice as per Standing Rule 2D. This could also include motions without notice that were not approved in the Programming Authority meeting. Members are reminded that the 30 minutes as per Standing Rule 152D will start now. I recognize Honourable Barnes.
Thank you, Speaker. I move without notice on behalf of the ANC that the House notes with deep concern the rising crime levels in the Western Cape that were reported in the 2022-2023 third quarter crime stats between October and December 2022, which showed that 1198 people were murdered, 2157 sexual offences, including rape of 1518 innocent women and children. Acknowledges that this picture confirms that the Western Cape is a crime scene and that the safety plan in its current form is a big, expensive failure, and calls on the Premier to refocus the implementation of the safety plan to address the causative factors of violent crimes, redeploy LEAP officers to rural areas, and have a focus on addressing GBV and femicide. I so move, Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Barnes. Are there any objections to the motion being moved without notice? There is an objection. The motion will be printed on the order paper. I now move on. I see Honourable Barnes.
Thank you, Speaker. On behalf of the ANC, I move without notice that the House notes with pride the work done by Mitchell's Plain Crisis Forum and Ravensmith residents to rename a local play park after slain Tasnie van Wyk, who 3 years ago was kidnapped just meters away from her home in Clare Street by convicted killer and child rapist Mohidian Pangaka, who has been sentenced to more than 250 years for his crimes against children, including of his own family. I so move, Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Barnes. Are there any objections to the motion being moved without notice? No objections. Agreed to. I now see Honourable Syed.
Honourable Speaker, I move without notice that the House notes that the ANC is deeply concerned with the absence of regular sittings of this House. It is not acceptable that out of 7 Thursdays in the first quarter of the year, there will only be 2 regular sittings in the House. This gives us an indication that the DA is not interested in holding the executive accountable and driving service delivery through robust oversight. The DA treats this House like its playground for tick box exercises. This is unacceptable and downright disrespects other political parties in the House and, most importantly, the Western Cape public, and calls for the Speaker to make a ruling on this matter.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, honourable members. Thank you, Honourable Syed. Are there any objections the motion being moved without notice? There is an objection. The motion will be printed on the order paper. I now see Honourable Nkondlo.
Goed, dankie. I move without notice that the House Lords Gauteng Premier Panyaza Disufi for the progressive commitments made in his outstanding State of the Province address, where he has committed to use 60% of the 34 billion goods and services budget to support initiatives to boost township economy. This is inclusive of directing provincial government procurement to township enterprises, as this will go a long way to create employment in each household. Commends the Gauteng province for its dedication towards township economy and calls on the Western Cape government to follow suit and redirects funds towards township economy and to develop its own Township Economy Act. I so move.
Thank you, Honorable Nkondlo. Can I please ask the members on my right that you object or you don't object once the question has been put? Are there any objections to the motion being moved without notice? There's an objection. The motion will be printed on the order paper. I now see Honorable Bakabaka Force.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I move without notice that the House notes with deep sadness the Western Cape High Court judgment to grant the City of Cape Town permission to evict homeless people off the street. The notice of eviction are to be served to the people at several occupation hotspots along Yangola Pet. The notice of eviction are to be served to the people at several occupation hotspots along Beitegrand Street, FW de Klerk Boulevard, 4 Gate Square, Taxi Rank, and Foreshore, Helen Suzman Boulevard, Strand Street, Foreshore. N1 action by the DA goes a long way to expose and depth of hatred to the poor and downtrodden by the DA. Condemns the disingenuous of where I was. Nicote Rasman Pit. Disingenuous and misleading claims by the Cape Town Mayor Jordan Hill Lewis that the city had done its absolute level best over the past year to offer care to each of the homeless people. I appreciate that homelessness is a complex issue that needs various specialists. Specialties to address the need of homeless people and calls on 3 spheres of government to urgently intervene to assist the poor. I so move.
Thank you, Honorable Bakabaka Force. Honorable members, are there any objections to the motion being moved without notice? There is an objection. The motion will be printed on the order paper. Thank you, honorable members. Let's move on. Honorable Syed.
Honorable Speaker, thank you. I move that the House notes
Honorable members, there's a member on the floor. We're nearly at the end of the session. Honorable Maran and Honorable Bakabaka Force, there's a member on the floor. Honorable Syed, you can continue.
Continue. I move without notice that the House notes the damning allegations leveled against the principal of Ned Dowman High School in Athlone of allegedly intimidating learners and teachers. Notes further that several complaints have been made against the principal in the past, including allegedly detaining learners at the school without informing parents, illegally withholding reports of learners who owe fees, and even allegedly undermining the cultural beliefs of learners at the school. Despite all these complaints and several other concerns which we have personally raised about the principal, he remains untouchable by the WCD, and we thus cautiously welcome the long overdue visit by the Standing Committee on Education to the school next week, Tuesday, and we trust that all sides will be listened to. Thank you.
Thank you. There's a motion being moved without notice. Are there any objections to the motion being moved? All right, members, can I please ask that when you address the chair that you do so, when you stand up and you then address me, but I cannot engage you if you don't stand up. So is there an objection or is there a concern?
Thank you, Speaker. This is not the motion as was shared with us that the honourable member has been reading out now.
Right. Thank you. Noted, Honourable Chief Whip, Honourable Deputy Chief Whip of the Opposition.
Honourable Speaker, I had predicted that this would happen because that is the draft motion. Later on, before the cut-off, we submitted two, in fact, and I've responded to all, and the members who are now raising the objection are copied in the email. I stated the exact two motions for which the corrected ones
Honourable
were
members,
submitted, and
honourable
Mr.
members,
Pocketpool is
honourable
aware.
members, Honourable Deputy Chief Whip, honourable members, there's a member on the floor. I will allow you an opportunity if you disagree, but can we please allow the member to state his case? Are there any further comments on that? Honourable Chief
Speaker,
Whip.
can this be confirmed? Because none of us have our laptops with us.
All right. Okay. All right, honourable members, honourable members. I've been informed or advised by the table staff that as per the rules, the motion has been submitted in time, and therefore I will now put the motion. Are there any objections to the motion being moved without notice? Thank you very much. There is an objection. The motion will. Honourable members, there's an objection, so the motion will be printed on the order paper. I now move on to Honourable Syed. Honourable Syed? Yeah, you can continue.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. I move without notice that the House notes with disgust that 32 days have passed since the start of the 2023 academic year, and yet close to 1,000 learners are not yet placed at schools, which shows that we have a serious multi-year learner placement crisis in this province. Notes further that unplaced learners have thus far missed out on 32 of the 51 days for the first quarter of this academic year, and appreciates that this is a self-orchestrated crisis by the weak Premier and his government that continues to protect and encourage former Model C schools to discriminate against learners on the basis of race and class, and thus keep their schools underutilized with average class sizes of less than 25, while schools in poor and working class communities are forced to have up to 70 learners in a class, and repeats the ANC's call for all public ordinary schools to be fully utilized by having up to 35 learners in a class.
Thank you very much, Honourable Syed. Honourable Deputy Chief Whip, is that a point of order?
Yes, Chair, it is a point of order. I just would like the table staff to confirm that the motion that is read out was submitted, because between political parties, if we email each other, we can't be confirming on behalf of Western Cape Provincial Parliament. What I was received.
No. There's a member on the floor.
What was read is different. So the table.
Honourable Chief Whip and Honourable Deputy Chief Whip. Honourable Deputy Chief Whip. I will again. Is that a similar point? All right. I was going to get that. Honourable Deputy Chief Whip and Honourable Chief Whip of the Opposition. I will check with the table staff. Thank you very much. I've been advised by the table staff that both motions, as per the rules, were submitted on time, and therefore the motion will be put to the House. Are there any objections? Honourable Chief Whip of the Opposition? Honourable Chief Whip, Honourable members, are there any objections? Honourable Chief Whip of the Opposition. Members, we are nearly at the end of this. We are wasting time because there's a time allocated to motions without notice. Are there any objections to the motion being moved without notice? There is an objection to the motion being moved, and it will now be printed on the order paper. Thank you very much. I now move on to Honourable Bosman.
Honourable Speaker, I move without notice that this House celebrates the life of renowned academic and cultural expert Zaid Munti. Having worked in the culture and development sector since 1993, Zaid authored Africa's first municipal culture policy and was the driving force behind Cape Town's successful bid to be declared a world design capital in 2014. He also curated innumerable cultural exhibitions and used culture to drive transformation and inclusion. I so move.
Honourable members, I now put the motion. Are there any objections to the motion being moved without notice? No objections. Agreed to. I see the Honourable Bartman.
Thank you, Speaker. I move that this House knows the Western
Honourable
Cape
members.
High Court.
Honourable members. Honourable Bartman, you may continue.
I move that this House notes the Western Cape High Court judgment handed down yesterday in favour of the Western Cape Education Department against Codeta's illegal attempts to seize control of the scholar transport market. This judgment will end the criminal and profit-motivated blockade against school children by elements of the taxi industry, which has resulted in thousands of absences. The House should celebrate the resumption of the academic project by many hundreds of learners today and commend Minister David Mayne's swift action to resolve this crisis.
Thank you very much, Honourable Bartman. Honourable members, are there any objections to the motion being moved without notice? There is an objection. The motion will be printed on the order paper. I now see Honourable Klaas.
I move without notice that the House notes that early last week, the DA-led City of Cape Town announced that it was granted an eviction order to remove homeless people living in the open space around Cape Town. Further note that the city did this without prior engagement with these vulnerable members of our society and without clear plan to which shelters they are going to house them in. The majority of homeless people complained afterwards that normal shelter change rental fee, although this is normal, not disclosed to them prior by the city. Are squeezed into congested room, family are separated and there is no privacy whatsoever. Further call on DA-led Western Cape government to offer homeless people dignified place to live in, including access of proper housing as the Constitution of South Africa requires. This government must make initiative to assist homeless people to apply for proper houses. I so move.
Thank you very much, Honourable Klaas. Members, are there any objection to the motion being moved without notice? There is an objection. The motion will be printed on the order paper. Honourable Klaas, I see you again. There's another motion in your name.
I move without notice that the House notes that so-called safety plan is just a waste of taxpayers' money. And there is no satisfactory evidence that the effective and successfully taking into account that is operate parallel with the South African Police Services. Further note, this is so-called safety plan is narrow to scope as in only focuses on murders. And even on that, it's failing. While excluded other forms of crime, such as gangs charging business protection fees. 3, mass murders in the province continue unabated. Just like last week, 4 people were shot and killed in Walasdina informal settlement, close to Kraaifontein. Mfuleni Township has taken top spot in the whole country when it comes to the high number of murder rates according to the latest 2022 third quarter crime statistics. Conclude by asking this provincial government to work with the national government in efforts to eradicate crime to the province. I so move.
Thank you, Honourable Klaas. Honourable members, are there any objections to the motion being moved without notice? There is an objection. The motion will be printed on the order paper. Honourable members. Honourable members. Honourable members, I'm going to allow you an opportunity to finish your conversations. Have you concluded? All right, members, that concludes the business for the day. The Secretary will now end the meeting and all members will be exited from the sitting. The House is adjourned.